is Dante.
What you bitches waiting for? Get this trash up off my lawn. Move!
Come on, babes! Let's rock! Stop that side! Die! We die! Just die! Rather there is someone die! Devil may cry.
Okay, and OBS is live, so greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this not so crazy party of talking about DmC Devil May Cry on its anniversary, its launch anniversary. So happy birthday, you piece of shit.
It came out today? Holy fuck. That's how much I don't care.
Yeah, it came out on this date. So we're gonna get into.
So it's a Capricorn.
Yeah, it's a Capricorn of shit.
It's a cockacorn.
So we're going to get into introducing the panel. First, we have a new guest here, Mr. Dark Anderson. Dante, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm a person. I'm L Dante. The L is optional. There's a parenthesis in that L there.
Do you have a sombrero too?
Maybe one of these days. I need to go back to Chevy's and have my birthday there, and I will.
All right.
Anything else I was supposed to say?
No, not really. I think that was a cool introduction. So next we have, next we have Mr. Bow Devil Dumb. Introduce yourself, good sir.
Hey, how's it going? As you all know, I am a big Devil May Cry fan, and I fucking hate this reboot for numerous reasons. We'll get into that in this document.
Devil Hunter James, introduce yourself, good sir.
I am Devil Hunter James, and yeah, this game can eat a bag of dicks. We'll get into it.
Fancy. And last but not least, we have Brando, or Black Guy, as his name says on Discord. So, Black Guy, could you please introduce yourself?
Masseuse.
You need a masseuse? I can get you one.
Oh, please.
Alright,
I'm
so
sure she's hot.
we're gonna dive right into these topics. I'm going to take the first one. So, what is your first experience witnessing this rat-loving, monkey-fucking piece of shit abomination of a video game
I know who wrote this.
that Ninja Theory spewed out from their whorehouses? What was your first reaction to the first trailer? Since I'm going, I'll go first. I saw the first trailer at my high school, I believe, when they showed off information about this game, saying that, well, Ninja Theory possibly might be working on a Devil May Cry game. It was rumors at the time, by the way, but I remember them talking about that, and then they had the official trailer, and I was at my class chair at that time, and I just remember face-palming really, really fucking hard. Like, people thought something was wrong with me because I was so disappointed. They were like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm just very, very agitated right now. It was probably just one of the worst concepts that they can come up with. Crackhead Dante in an insane asylum going apeshit crazy. Back at the time, it didn't make any sense. And then when the game progressed, it only seemed to get worse. So I gave it a fair shot. I said, you know what? I'm going to try this game since I was heavily against it. So I said I wasn't going to buy it, but then they put it on PS Plus for free. I played it once. That was it. I played Definitive Edition once. That was it. It's a game where multiple playthroughs I don't like doing because that's how much I hate the game so much. They really just blew this one out of proportion with the PR, the drama, and all the nonsense of it not stacking up to the original series.
You mind if I go next?
Go ahead, sir.
Alright, so, I have a really long history with this game.
Really?
I was I think I was a freshman in high school when this game got announced, and I didn't hear about the rumors because I wasn't really, like, on the internet when I was, like, in my freshman year of high school. The internet was, like, a new frontier for me, because I was, like, just getting into it. And there was this one video that I watched of somebody, and I don't remember the content creator's name or anything like that, but they'd mentioned, like, oh, well, they're announcing a new game, and but what's different about this is that it's a reboot. It's not a continuation of Devil May Cry 4. And I remember I watched it and I was just so mad because like when I saw Dante, I was just like, that's not Dante. And you know, of course we ended up seeing like the PR and everything of that, and it was just, you know, name calling and a lot of unprofessional like comments and whatnot from the developers and from Capcom and whatnot, and a lot of insults from fanboys that were, you know, ass kissing Ninja Theory and to me for that. You know, of course, over time I ended up, I think like within a few weeks after, I ended up finding Main Event's video, part 2 of the DmC Devil May Cry rants.
Oh god,
that's pretty much how I got into like watching his content. But I remember he would go through all of like the PR, all through like the, you know, the fanboy comments and whatnot, and he would call it all out. And like, you know, I didn't really see anybody else but him do that and go out of their way and say like, no, this is bad and you shouldn't support this, and you know, valid reasons as to why. And as Ren said, like, you know, as the game was getting shown off more and more, it got worse and worse and worse. I played it once through the PS Plus thing like he did, but I ended up picking up Definitive Edition, but I only had to pay $10 for it. So I had a digital copy of that, and I played through that more than once. The last time I played that, I only played it just to try to win a physical copy of DmC 4 SE from Capcom, only to find out that Gregaman blocked me, and you know, for no reason. I think it was because I simply asked him if the reason why we weren't getting 4 Special Edition in the West physically was because of Definitive Edition. But yeah, like, for the most part, just seeing it all, I just thought it was shit. And thinking about it now, I just feel like it would have done better as a completely new IP, and if it stuck to the original concept instead of just, you know, going through constant rewrites.
I guess I could go.
Oh, God.
It's all right. You can get after me, Brandon, if you want.
All right. So this game came out, what, 2010, I believe?
It was announced 2010, but it got released 2013.
Did they show the trailer 2013? Because I'm trying to remember. So I could tell those.
No, it was announced 2010, so they showed the initial trailer in 2010, but the game was released in 2013.
Okay, well, the trailer was released in 2010, so that was my first time seeing it, of course, like everyone else. I was still relatively fresh on Devil May Cry because I actually started with the 4th game because, I don't know, they just did a very good job advertising that, so I got into it. I thought it was great. I always regretted that I couldn't play the others until later when the HD collection came out. So at the time, I was pretty 50-50 on the reboot because we didn't see any gameplay of it. It was only a trailer. So I would always tell people, let's wait until it comes out, or at least wait until you get a demo, you know, play it before you judge it. So that happened. It came out, and I was still like, eh. The biggest complaint I had with that when I started it was the controls. The controls drove me insane. I could not stand having a dedicated launch button, all these unnecessary changes to the formula that really did not need to be changed at all. But I'll get into that maybe later. But that was mostly my first experience, was just seeing the trailer and telling people, let's just wait until, you know, we play it. You guys kind of said all the other elaborate stuff, so I don't really need to repeat it.
All right, I guess I'm next. Put this down for a second. Okay, now, my first experience with this game was back in 2010. It was me and my friend, because he's sleeping over at my place, and we were just like watching stuff on G4 and whatnot. And that trailer came along. Both of us are really big Devil May Cry fans, and we were like stunned when the character said, "My name is Dante," and we came up with a bunch of random ideas like, "Is this Dante's son or something, or what it is?" Because we had no information about the game at the time, and like later down the line, we got more information. Yeah, no get. Yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous though, but we had no idea what it was. We just know it was Devil May Cry. This faggot name is Dante, and we just elaborate on what it is. So yeah, that's how I got that's how I got exposed to this Abomination. And later down the line, I never played the game. I never owned it actually. I played on somebody else's Xbox. I played the demo on PS3. It worked my PS3.
Wait, did?
I got the yeah, it bought my PS3. I got the PC version, like I think it was last year, early last year. It blue screened my computer. I deleted that thing off my hard drive. Now I got the definitive edition. Wow, what experience! That's all I gotta say. If you want to see more of my thoughts, check out my Twitter. Yes, Renegade, it was that bad. It literally broke both of my platforms.
Have we put that in the doc, by the way? Because I have remembrance of that happening. I had video footage a while back of that.
I don't think we did, but I guess we can bring that up as a side question. But I'm gonna let Dante go ahead and speak his piece on DmC. Cancer, right?
Okay. Yeah, exactly. As I smoke a push pen right now. Okay, so I like to call this game Demon's Mayhem Conspiracy because I don't like to call it Devil May Cry. All right, it's just given the game's story and all that context, it's appropriate to call it Demon's Mayhem Conspiracy. My first experience. My first experience was probably it's a blur. I know I saw that trailer. It might have been on like this Devil May Cry forum that I used to be on, and you know, at first I was all hype and shit, and then you know I'm looking at this and I'm seeing this motherfucker smoking, and I'm like, what the hell am I watching? And so the trailer goes on as I fear it would go, and then you know, as everyone knows, the whole triggered point for anybody was when he said his name was Dante, and I'm like, fuck is all of this shit? I mean, the only thing I really liked from that trailer was the music. It was really cool, but everything else about that, like there was like a lot of like hope in the thing saying like, oh, this better not be Dante kind of thing. That better be like some crazy thing. I remember reading some comments saying like, oh no, there's gonna be some plot twist, and then he's like, no, you're not Dante, I'm Dante, and the real Dante's gonna show up. So this was gonna be like some wannabe kind of Dante, and that would have been great. I was wrong. That's trailer's experience. Game experience, I didn't really touch the game per se like I did for a little bit. I watched the story first because I really if I'm not able to get the game, or if I'm not interested enough to actually play it, I'll just watch story and see how that went. And that was garbage. We'll get into that shit later because the question somewhere in there opened up to that. But I did get to play it a little bit. I played the demo on my PS3, and it was still meh. I tried playing it on my PC, you know, like I said, I yard-hearted and all that jazz. And, I mean, I think I played it just once, like I streamed it, and that was as far as I was going to go. As soon as I stopped it, I did not come back into it, kind of thing. It was, it was just, I had more fun playing Devil May Cry 2 in that aspect than playing this one. Anyways.
Oh. You know what's sad is when Devil May Cry 2 is a better game.
You know what's sad when I went
later.
You know what's sad is when I went on my way to platinum that over the reboot. I'm not even kidding.
All right, so we're gonna dive right into question 2. So who wants to take that for reading?
I'll take it.
Go ahead.
Go down.
Regardless of how much of a horrifically written story this was, and how flip-floppy some of these characters' development was in the process, there are some people who argue that this game should coexist with the real Devil May Cry due to some traits adding more layers than others. For example, a person said it said and argued that Virgin and Virgil and his characters are are more in depth and contrast than DmC Virgil. Sorry if I miswrote that. Do you agree that this thing should coexist with DmC, or rather Devil May Cry? Absolutely not.
Hell no.
Tamim can't write an original story to save his life. He will tell you that he is trying to make an original plot, and he's really just going to take from other stories. In fact, as far as I'm aware, DmC was his first story that he ever wrote that wasn't, rewritten by somebody else.
Yeah.
Both Heavenly Sword and Enslaved Odyssey of the West were both rewritten by two completely different people.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that because didn't she go on record and say that he did not write Enslaved?
Yeah. They confirmed that DmC Devil May Cry was his first script that he ever wrote. And they only brought that person who rewrote the script for Enslaved as a advisor.
Oh my god, he should have written the story.
It's like you think about that, and it's just like, how much better would that story have been if they had the rewrite? Because I mean, technically, yeah, they did have a rewrite regardless, but I mean,
so
rewrite with somebody that actually did a better job with scripts than Tamim.
I don't think
canned it. That's what I would have done.
I'm just gonna give some brief thoughts. I think that in terms of this question, hell no. I don't think that even calling it Devil May Cry is a disservice to Devil May Cry. So I think it's later in the document, of course, but if they called it something else, then that probably would have worked. Them labeling Devil May Cry as this is a slap in the face. And I think that for the story, I don't think it would have helped much, but maybe some concepts that they could have taken would have given more interest than Dante just searching the globe, being a homeless moron who goes around and sleeps with like all these strippers and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous.
Look, if Tamim thinks that homeless people can get mad pussy, I really want to meet these homeless people that do.
He literally goes to a strip club and he does. So it's so ridiculous. And then the whole time he's not even a likable character. He's just insulting Kat the entire time, and I could not resonate with him. I mean, there's likable assholes like Travis Touchdown. He's an asshole, but he's likable. Dante is not.
I think they're trying to, if I'm not mistaken, well, obviously Resident Evil 6 came out before DmC Devil May Cry by like a few months.
So Jake,
but Jake is a lot like Dante as well. I know that's a little bit.
Jake's not that bad.
He's not that bad.
Yeah, RE6 Jake.
Resident Evil 6, Jake Mueller. He's a lot like Dante, but he's not as bad. But there are some similarities to the plots of both that campaign in 6 and in DmC, where
he's more likable though.
Where they have this character who's edgy for the sake of being edgy, meets some woman who's trying to save them or whatever, and then they fall in love by the end of the campaign because the plot demanded it. You know?
It's cliche, but it's nothing compared to DmC's bad writing.
The Resident Evil Edition version of that actually had, more juice to it, given the fact that Jake was Wesker's son and Sherry was Birkin's son, and they were partners in the past, kind of thing. There's more juice in between that.
Yeah.
Well, can we at least agree that Sherry is hotter than Kat?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no contest.
I knew that was coming a mile away.
I know where Brandon's eyes have been.
Yes. Everywhere that's not Kat.
Yeah, man, she might have squirrel jizz on her hands. Shots fired.
Oh, don't remind me of... another example of fantastic writing. Squirrel semen. I never thought I'd hear that in a Devil May Cry game.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. I can't believe they did that.
Oh.
Sherry doesn't look like she was some formerly Twilight fangirl or whatever the hell.
Dang, man.
Wait, Ren, that's what you can't believe? I
Yeah,
can't believe they made Virgil wear a fucking hat and a fedora.
they-
at that. Oh
they-
my god.
They believed in it so much that they decided how stupid it was and took it out of Definitive Edition.
Yeah, that was worth the patch.
Wait,
Patch
they
notes,
patched that
remove
out?
Virgil fedora.
Yeah,
Yes, that's a thing.
it got
We'll
patched
talk
out.
about the combat though later, right? Because I have some
Yeah.
shit to say.
Oh
about
yeah,
Definitive
so we'll
Edition.
save the combat for later.
It's in there somewhere.
All right,
Christ almighty.
we can definitely move on to number 3. So, Dante, you want to read this?
Oh, wait, and I guess we covered up number 2 pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so this is yours. The director of this game and Capcom themselves initiated the worst PR known to man with this game. Plenty of this included insulting the fans within the game, insulting fans on live streams, and the director alluding to people needing to be slapped for not liking the game on Twitter. What are your thoughts on all of this bad PR and how it could have been avoided?
Take it
You
away,
wanna
sir.
go, Dante, or
I didn't really have much to think about on its PR per se because I didn't really pay attention to that shit. Like, yes, I kept my biggest distance away from that game, so I didn't really see how they were, other than the obvious, in the game where he has the wig, and then just says not in a million years. The only middle finger, other than the credits, that was obviously the main triggering point within the game, from what I've seen.
there's also a scene in the game where they have a fat guy in a shirt with the number 5 on it, and he just goes up and slaps a can out of him and says it'll kill you.
Wait, that was what?
Wasn't that representing the fans?
Yeah,
Of Devil May Cry
was supposed
5?
to be mocking fans who wanted Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah, I
was that
remember
what that was?
Yeah, I remember
Yes,
that.
the fat guy with the number 5 on his shirt.
That was supposed to be a reference to Devil May Cry 5?
I didn't know that for a
Really?
No,
long
just a
time, too,
reference
be
to
fair.
fans wanting Devil May Cry 5.
I didn't know that. When was this?
That
Like,
literally
when was this
blew
from?
It-
all I thought he was just being a douche to the whole drink thing, and that was it. But okay,
Remember when they? Well, this is for people who played the game, but remember when they found out about the whole soda conspiracy and it making people slaves to Mundus's control?
no,
Well,
not
after-
Mundus.
Mundas.
Monday.
But
One to ass.
when they found out about the soda, I think that's after you fight the Slurm boss. I'm not sure if it's before or after, but
No, it's on your way.
yeah,
The only way there.
It's
That was in Mission Underwatch, by the way. Mission 4.
Oh no, it was
But,
in the demo.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah, it's
what-
also in the demo too. As well.
Demos.
yeah. It's whenever Dante's following Cat and they sort of notice all this stuff and he slaps the soda out of his hand. That's when it happens. I did not know. I remember hearing something about that, but I did not know that was a direct reference to fans. Holy shit.
Right. The only real thing people right at the bat was just the wig thing. But that's
Yeah, the wig is the biggest one. It's the most obvious one in my opinion.
And it's so funny because then they just make a fucking class. So it's just you know what? All right. Give the flip. Do you think that putting on the classic costume after dissing out the wig is gonna make up for all of this fuckery? Fuck you to all of us. I don't think so.
That is ironic
Yeah,
as fuck that happened.
Yeah. Or he gets white hair in the end, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Before we continue, do you, Mr. Dante, know that they gave Virgil a classic costume in his stupid DLC?
Yep.
He looks bad.
Oh,
Dude, the hair looks awful.
I'll try and find it.
Let's go do some Google searching.
Yeah.
Mute my mic.
Well, while you do that, I'm gonna go on this question. Yeah, I knew about the PR through events videos, and I really hate it. That is a perfect way of how to burn bridges with fans. I'm pretty certain that
There you go.
some Devil May Cry fans will, despite seeing that 4 special edition or even if a 5 gets announced, that they'd see it and be like, okay, cool, but I'm not gonna pay for this game new because you burnt that bridge with me with not definitive edition with DmC Devil May Cry and how you handle that PR. And it's can be looked at with anything at Capcom. Capcom likes to burn a lot of bridges with their consumers. or at least they used to, and now they're trying to win those consumers back, but their efforts are really poor. So the thing that I think is really ironic is that they kept insulting people about the hair, and they kept bringing up the hair like that was the only complaint that people had about the game, and then they give Dante white hair at the end of the game, not to mention that all of his alternate costumes use white hair. Like I'm not even shitting you. If you've played through the game, and especially if you have Definitive Edition where all of the costumes are unlocked, all of his costumes have white hair except for the default one. And it's like
in Neo Dante. But not Dark Dante, his hair is black, I think. Is it black or is it white?
It looks kind of blondish.
It's all white. It's all white.
Really?
We talk about this?
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
no.
This is one of the things where you can switch it on.
That's an alternate costume. But then like all of the other costumes that are DLC are just him with the basic hair with white hair. It's just all colored in white.
That's not Neo Dante, but it looks so stupid.
No, I
the
meant
way it looks.
Dark Dante. His whole entire is black, and his hair, I think his hair is white. Hold on, let me check.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's all the costumes are him with white hair.
Oh, you also get him with white hair if you activate Devil Trigger mode.
Right. Yeah.
The inverted colors.
Great.
So yeah, it's things like that wasn't good, and then
here it is.
I'm still waiting for Tamim to take on the internet because he said he wanted to take on the internet, and yet he still hasn't.
Yep.
I'm still waiting. I want to get on with the event to take Tamim. What does he have for the internet that can be so daring?
Quitting Twitter. That's what he did.
It's ridiculous stuff like that. When I had went to Capcom, by the way, before I let the next person go, though, I had asked them. I'm like, I got into a discussion with some of the PR members, and or at least one of the PR members. I talked about Devil May Cry in general. And he asked me about DmC, and he wasn't surprised that I said I didn't like the reboot. But I asked certain things like what happened to Alex Jones. Alex Jones, I think, works for like 2K now. Because a lot of people are asking him, like, did Capcom kill him or whatever? But that's not the case. But and I mentioned that I think that one of the biggest problems that game had was the PR, and I think they really should have stopped Tamim from speaking. And they had mentioned to me, like, while we didn't agree with a lot of the things that Tamim was saying, we had no control over it. Like, and just paraphrasing what that PR member told me, basically they were just saying that, unless if the higher ups were saying to stop Tamim from talking, they had no control over what he said.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop, people publicly linking that to the company. Like, if one person speaks, then he's in a position of power. It looks bad on them too, because he's sort of pushing their game, and they're the publishers. So yeah, it's just not a good look overall to be a dickhead on Twitter when he was, going around saying the N-word and saying, I think he was linking gifs of this movie called Airplane, where like Leslie Nielsen was slapping people, and he said, if you don't like the game, this is what you deserve, and it was the gif of people getting slapped. That's not a good look. I'm not surprised that he's not on Twitter anymore because of that whole situation. But it's not a good look for the game overall. And if you're trying to promote to your fan base, you want them to buy your game as much as possible. So going around being a dickhead is not the obvious solution.
He wasn't going around being a dickhead. He was going around in character as himself, because clearly he had his self inside the game. So clearly, him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but isn't it funny how he cut his hair after that game came out? Well, he kept changing his hairstyle as the game was about to release, and then finally shaved it completely.
He was blonde at one point. That shit was funny.
Oh,
oh my god.
Also,
Look
you guys
at
know
this colossal fuckery.
Did you guys know about the Twitter troll?
No.
Oh yeah, there's a troll account somebody made, mocking to meme, and I think it's still active today. Last time I checked. So you gotta check it for me, somebody can. Because to me, his original Twitter is deleted now, so it won't be hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, it was so cool. Mr. Ninja Super Tam, who inserts himself into the game as a tweet. I saw that bullshit at the end, and I was like, you can't be fucking serious. I know people has to be joking, pulling my leg. And then I saw it, and I'm like, huh, that is really stupid. That is really stupid and meta.
Oh, Dom, I found it. Did he happen to look like this after the game?
Oh my god.
No, that was when the game was about to come out. That was getting close to the game's release, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Does he look like
so
Rihanna?
bad.
He looks like
Does he
fucking
look
Rihanna.
He looks like Rihanna.
Does he look like?
It looks like a dead spider on his head. Jesus Christ.
The spider.
Oh, I got one more of this.
Also, yeah,
This is his face when the game came out.
to yeah, to meme also said this at one point during really early on in the PR for the game. Dante was cool then, but he's not cool now.
Okay.
That's a question later. But I do remember him saying he wanted the new Dante to be gay or something. I was like,
He wanted him to be a gay vampire.
what is it?
Okay. Okay.
So he
See, they
wanted
really
him
were
to
taking
be.
inspirations from Twilight.
Yes.
Well, damn it! I was about to say. You mean you wanted him to be Edward?
Yes.
Yeah, and he only wanted to make him gay just to spite fans.
Oh,
Oh,
this
despite
man
fans,
not fired.
alright. Well, clearly his Twitter's gone because his professionality is out the fucking window. D rank in stylish points.
Man, he doesn't even have a rank.
He's not even a D rank, man. Like, that's how bad he is.
Give him enough.
Give him a Z, okay?
Go with-
Z
go with
for
the
being
breakdown.
so bad that you have to go all the way to the bottom of the alphabet.
Z. We'll get onto that. There is a question about that later, though. So.
All right. I guess I'll read number 4.
Good.
What was your reaction to the discovery of DmC running originally on 30 FPS, a concept which was never followed by any of the other DMCs? That pissed me off legitimately when I first heard that because, man, the original DMC one, like not even the HD collection one, just the very original runs on 60 frames. I'm sure maybe it drops it here and there occasionally, but still had it. DMC2 had it, DMC3 had it, DMC4 had it. All of a sudden, this new one comes out and it doesn't have it and it chugs. It's a disgrace to hack and slash, in my opinion.
I agree. This is disappointing.
Yeah.
In a way, what was the last point I was off before? That
The
happened?
frame rate of DMC.
How do you feel
Yeah,
about
it
it
took-
being 30?
It took the PC version to be at 60 frames. As this is a disgrace, and the PC version is variable, honestly.
I don't understand why. I don't understand why the change was made to go from 60 to 30. I don't get it.
I do.
Are they just trying to? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I will tell you exactly why. You know that stupid nonsense they tried to get? They tried to push the gimmick of the world breaking up and stuff and attacking you. That's why, because they did that throughout the whole game, and they were on Unreal 3 as well. So there was that. But I believe it was. I believe it was because it was taxing on the engine, because they were doing the whole world moving, chasing Dante bullshit. Honestly, if they had ditched that gimmick, they would have been better off.
Which is really funny because they showed off in videos that the world doesn't even kill you if you stop running. So the whole threat is pointless.
Yep.
Yep, I done it. I just stood there and like waiting to die, and nothing's happening. It's scripted.
rather than in real time.
Yeah, but at least in some scripted events, if you take too long, you will get your ass kicked or die.
Oh no, you'll just fall down and take very minor damage and be teleported to safety. Oh no,
Yes, that happens
Oh
too.
no!
garbage.
The what is it? The frame rate. It's weird because I always thought like that 2 was running at 30 because of how slow it is. Because like you hardly ever get attacked in that game either. But I mean, you know, I played both the reboot and 2 numerous times. I think I played 2 even more than the reboot, and the enemies in 2 are a lot more aggressive, even on higher difficulties than the reboot. Because in the reboot, they'll just walk back and forth. And I just always found it weird that like 2 is at 60 frames, but knowing that it's just like, well, it took a new port of the game in order for it to be 60 on console. And I don't even think it's locked at 60.
No, it's not.
Definitive edition, but it's like, you know, remember they were saying things like, oh, well, 30 will feel like 60. You know, and it's like, that's a dumb statement. Yeah, they actually said that.
Did you not know?
Huh? I never heard of this ever.
Yes, they did. They highlighted that. I remember that too, Dom. Many times they said that it'll feel like 60. Anyone with half a brain can see that this game is not in 60 frames.
Oh my god, that's awful, man. And people probably believed it too, like idiots.
Oh,
yeah.
You know how I tested this, by the way, Dom? I tested it. I tested the optimization of it being in 30 by playing DmC 4 and that. The reboot drops my inputs a lot, whereas DmC 4 never dropped my inputs.
You know, there's actually a video comparing like comparing both the reboot and Devil May Cry 4 on PC, comparing like the frame rates and just like time to like input like the moves and whatnot, and you can see that it takes a few more seconds on the reboot in order for like certain moves to get, you know, either finished or even start up.
That's not a contest.
So, you know.
Someone argued about that though, like supporting Demon's Mayhem Conspiracy in that aspect about not needing to be as stylish as that, just to pull out some combos, or whatever. And I kind of hurled out of my chair.
At that point, it's then by that logic, don't call it Devil May Cry, because that's not what the series is. It's not about just killing the enemies. It's, you know, being creative and fancy and slick. If you don't have that, then you're not a Devil May Cry game.
All those fun music videos made with juicy, stylish combos.
Yes.
Yep.
Shout outs to Mr. Dongery.
But yeah, no, I have nothing to say. Fuck it. What's the next question, I guess? Because we can go about 60 frames per second all day long.
It's number 5.
Lead off number 5.
If no one else wants to do it, I can do it. Alright then, so what was your thought process to the DLC practices of DMC, including stuff that should have been probably in the game, like Dante and Virgil's Bloody Palace, classic skins, and Virgil's Downfall? Oh man, I remember the day they took out Bloody Palace and resold it as DLC. I was like,
I think it was free DLC though.
I was livid.
It was free, but then you didn't get the Virgil version. You had to wait, and it was like, what are they doing? Because usually in the special edition, it had them both, and it was like, it's weird for it to be DLC.
Not planned for Virgil to be playable originally, so I think that's why.
Yeah.
Which is even worse, because that's still a standard to have multiple characters by this point.
Yeah, I mean, afterwards they just started having multiple characters in Blade Palace, but...
Oh, that reminds me, actually. They opened up the whole pre-order thing. People had to wait till after the game released in order to get the pre-order bonuses, which was Virgil's Downfall.
Yep. So, didn't that mean, like, you had to essentially wait to get a piece of the game? That was kind of important, because Virgil's Downfall is the epilogue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, James, didn't you had DLC upgrade points or whatever, and it borked you from getting the one?
Oh yeah, originally I made a thing to myself for some reason that this game sucks and it's so pathetic and easy that I'm going to platinum in like a few days, and I technically would have, but the thing is, the pre-order bonus that I got with it actually borked me getting my last trophy, because there's a trophy to upgrade your character completely with upgrade points. The pre-order gives you like 3 extra upgrade points, and I guess the game got confused or something, and it would not give me it. It would not give me it, no matter what I did, even if I unupgraded and redid it again. So thank you, pre-order, for being a glitchy piece of crap like your game.
It's the coding, because it's designed to say there's 50 moves. You must have exactly 50 to consider having the character fully upgraded. Since the game gives you 3 extra, they didn't code it correctly.
That just means they're amateurs at coding. Like, that's something I know for a fact that is not hard to fix.
Well, the skins were
and,
trash.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but like, I think that's mostly because of the fact that Ninja Theory went with using Unreal 3, an engine that they were most familiar with, an engine that's, you know, mostly known for going like, not the greatest engine, and usually known for developers that don't have much experience with developing games. So it's not surprising that they went with that kind of game, and I think they're still sticking with Unreal. They're just going with Unreal 4 now for their new titles, but that's beside the point. Discussing the actual like DLC practices, yeah, it was dumb, especially because they had like what was the weird one, the weapon skin ones. Like, I don't personally mind weapon skins in a Devil May Cry game, and I think that actually would be pretty nice to see, instead of just, you know, locking certain reskinned weapons or whatever to certain costumes and whatnot. Like, you know, why does Force Edge only have to be used in a specific costume? And I apologize if you can hear a loud dog barking in the background. That's mine.
Ezio, shush.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to shut up today. But yeah, they only locked it to the Angel and Devil arms. They did not lock it to Rebellion. So if you wanted to have the bone skin, you wouldn't have Rebellion looking like that. You would have all the other weapons looking like that. If you wanted the samurai stuff, you couldn't get the sword to look like a katana, but you can have all the other weapons with the Ito wrap and whatnot. It's like,
I had that.
It's so weird to me, because it's like, how are you gonna call it a samurai pack and not you know, have a sword like that? The Bloody Palace not being included in the game was really weird, and the fact that it was even DLC is really bad, because that's a standard for the series, especially with like multiple characters and whatnot. It was even more weird that Virgil, you know, he ended up getting his own Bloody Palace in the definitive edition of the game, but his Bloody Palace is exclusive to him, and he can't go through Dante's and vice versa. So he only fights the stuff that he would fight in the DLC, and I think his Bloody Palace is even slightly shorter than the main game's Bloody Palace. The classic skins. Okay, I have something to say. Huh?
Oh, real quick, I could actually answer that. Yes, Virgil's thing is shorter though, but he does have slight remixes to his that makes it unique to him. Plus, the enemies he fought in his DLC cannot be fought by Dante, because the enemies are designed based around him, not Dante. So you can't fight the Wisp with Dante, because it's impossible.
Right, but
design.
the point is that, you know, unlike in previous games where you can fight through Bloody Palace with any character and you can fight through all of the enemies, it's just that, you know, with that particular character, it's not a thing in the reboot. But the DLC skins, what was it, the classic skins, those were really bad. Especially because I think they had Virgil's was the classic DmC3 costume, and it made his hair look really stupid.
Man, his color looks stupid too.
Yeah, because the thing is that they literally made them skins, not actual costumes. So they're based off of their default costume and not.
They painted them new colors. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, basically, they just painted over the old costumes with new colors. So they look bad. And it actually kind of really pissed me off that we can get a classic Devil May Cry 1 costume for Dante, but we can't get a classic Devil May Cry 1 costume for DMC4 SE. Even, I mean, you can technically mod it if you're playing it on PC, but that's beside the point. That should have been something that we got on both games. But it still looks all bad. You know, and they still gave him white hair. Remember, they kept going with the excuse, well, you don't like this game because there's no white hair. I mean, I still wouldn't play the game even if it had white hair Dante, but I only played it just to talk about it and say that I fucking played it and I think it's shit. Oh, and Virgin's Down glitch, Definitive Edition, because I haven't played it on vanilla. It is a buggy mess. They only patched like one glitch in
A round trip glitch, I believe.
Yeah, they only patched that one glitch, the round trip glitch. But the game is still broken, and it's even more broken on the DLC, which I don't understand why they didn't focus on trying to fix the DLC. But the game's perfectly fine. We don't need to fix it. Just here, take this one patch to fix one problem.
Alright, so I'm gonna just interject really quickly on a previous subject, and that is the engine. Unreal 3 sucks, and just a little reason why is because in order for them to get 60 FPS beforehand, like I think it was Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, they had to cut out a lot of background assets in order to get like 60 FPS. So a lot of lighting and stuff, a lot of fighters in the background had to be removed. That's why DmC could not get 60 FPS, because it would be too resource happy on it.
Also, the texture pop-ins are awful.
Yeah, texture pop-ins.
Unreal 4 is so much better than 3. Jesus. It's ridiculous.
For the DLC, skins were garbage. I believe they gave you like bone weapons. It was just
bone weapons, samurai, like stupid shit.
It was bone, samurai, and gold, I think. Those were the three.
Yeah, out of all of them, I mean, they all came off as generic because they really didn't add anything super different or new to the weapons and styles. So that sucked. And then they had the DLC, which I believe Virgil's Bloody Palace had less stages, if I'm not too mistaken, than Dante's. So that's just one reason that I really didn't like it too much. Then the DLC itself for Virgil's Downfall, where to start? Glitchy, buggy. It had fucking more consistencies of you falling through the floor than anything else.
Yeah, it did.
It was weird, like that. It happened in the main game, but not as much as I feel than the DLC. It happened a lot in the DLC.
Didn't it happen to you, Brandon?
What happened?
Falling through the floor.
Falling through the floor thing, yeah.
And with vanilla or definitive edition?
Virgil's
DLC.
glitch.
Yes, that happened to me. I helm breaker through a rock and it clipped me right through the floor.
Jesus Christ! But
And
yeah,
also,
Helm breaker, you mean more like floor breaker?
Oh, nice.
Fucking dirt, Virgil's Downfall, am I right?
More like Game Breaker.
not only that, I clipped right through a platform obstacle.
I don't know why. It's like they really just shoot in that DLC. Like they didn't test it or anything, I feel. And then I didn't like the cutscenes either because they looked all weird. Like they ran out of budget. So it's like
Fanfic comic book style. Here we go.
Yeah. So you get to a cutscene and you watch all this white and not moving imagery of art, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? And then the final.
You know what's good? It dropped frames too. The cutscenes.
Oh, it dropped frames?
How?
Yeah.
There's nothing happening.
No, I swear, Virgil Downfall cutscenes, the thing dropped frames in the middle of one of the cutscenes. I think it was Mission 4.
How? I can't even.
Damn, it's like they just fucking wrote some paper on screen and say, hey, let's fuck up our frame rate because, this game is already a buggy mess, so let's do the deed and ruin it even further. So
maybe they were talking with the people who worked on Soul Calibur 5 story, given all that paper crap they're doing.
Ooh.
To be fair, at least Soul Calibur 5 was a more well put together game than that garbage.
Oh.
And I hate Soul Calibur 5.
But anyway, yeah, I don't think the DLC was just that impressive, amazing, or good, and I like how they tried to allude to the game that we're never getting, DmC 2, because Virgil becomes the ruler of fucking hell at the end of that DLC.
He basically becomes a wannabe Nilo Angelo.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna work because, for one, special edition completely bodied definitive edition in sales.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
That cliffhanger ending is meaningless.
Not only
You'll
that, but
never know what happens afterwards.
them advertising special edition in their trailer for Definitive was the worst thing they could possibly do because everyone wanted the special edition over
It was so funny. All they took was Virgil saying, "I need more power." The 6 seconds at the end made people say, "Okay, I want this game now."
Yep.
It's over the 3 minutes and like 40 seconds of them explaining what they did to Definitive. Nobody cared.
They destroyed themselves there.
I'm glad they
heaven,
did that.
Here's hell. It's it's kind of interesting when you think about it because you know how we had Devil May Cry 3, the original Devil May Cry 3, you know, the original game that most we get special edition because the original was too fucking hard. And then they give us a special edition which dumbs down the difficulty just a little bit for people who maybe scrubs at playing, you know, these kind of games. Then they give us some nice stuff. Like they already still had Bloody Palace. They gave us, did they give us more costumes? I'm not too familiar with the original Devil May Cry 3. But they gave us a Virgil.
They gave us Virgil with new costumes specifically for him, but I don't think they ever gave us extra costumes for Vanilla 3.
For Dante.
Yeah, I think Dante had all the stuff from Vanilla 3.
Okay, yeah, so they give us that usual stuff. Meanwhile, the Definite Edition gives us a bunch of DLC that should have been on the game. As you guys have already discussed, like, you know, Bloody Palace and Virgil's Downfall. But they had to increase the difficulty because the game was too easy. I think that's just a pretty ironic point and a terrible, like, you know you weren't doing good enough when you have to make your game harder. You know you're doing good enough when you have to make your game a little easier.
Hardcore.
From what I remember, and from what I've been told at least, hardcore mode apparently made the game more broken, actually.
Yeah, it's more
Really?
buggy, actually.
How the fuck is that possible? Jesus.
I don't know.
Like, you want to make your game more harder, but then you give the player... that game makes no
I
sense.
can't
Like,
confirm this.
like, getting SSS ranks in Devil May Cry, I can do that shit with my eyes closed.
Actually, I can't confirm this. It does make the game more broken, and not in a good way.
Oh.
Do you have details about what in particular just makes this even worse?
Okay, so where to begin? The environments are more glitchy. You remember the mission where fire shoot up from the ground? They don't shoot up.
Wait,
The fire obstacle is gone from that mission. Not intentionally.
so they ruined one of the things that could prevent you from getting an SSS rank. Okay, alright. That's fucking cool, Ninja Theory. Good job, bro.
There's quite a few things wrong with it though, but from what I experienced, I have video proof on my Twitter, and that was on hardcore mode.
Jesus
All right,
Christ.
truly hardcore, you know, hardcore
Hardcore
easy
broken.
ass. Yeah, all right.
Chuck E. Cheese is more hardcore than this shit. God damn. But we need to move on to number 6. Who wants to read this one?
I can take number 6. A lot of Devil May Cry fans state that this would have been a lot better experience had it been without the bad press and labeling this as a new IP. How do you feel about this statement? Yeah, I feel like that's very true. And I mean, number 8 kind of delves a little bit more about that titling too. But it would have been better as a new IP, as a new idea. I mean, it's still going to be a bad game no matter what, but like, I think the potential of it getting a sequel would have been more likely had it just been a new IP, you know, because it could have done, you know, it could have been released as is now, right? And as a new IP, it would have just been like, oh, okay, it's a decent game. I don't care if it gets a sequel or not, and it wouldn't have hurt Capcom to do so. But because it's a Devil May Cry game, and because everyone remembers how that PR went and how the game just was overall, even with the fixes, or even with the patches, it still is a bad game, and nobody wants to see a sequel aside from like the few, like 10 people that actually like playing that game. To Meme and his 9 friends or whatever.
To Meme and his 9 friends.
If he even has friends, I don't think he has friends. I think he's a complete shut-in.
Yes, hold on.
Actually,
Fuck
to Meme is his own best friend. Actually,
Yeah. It's him and 9 other personas of him. Okay, let's just go with that.
His 9 other hairstyles.
Yeah. Let's go with that. So yeah, I think to answer the question, yes, I think it would have done a little bit better, but not by much.
We're talking about the fact that it was wearing Devil May Cry's clothing. Am I right?
Yes, we're talking about the fact that if had it not been called Devil May Cry and had it been a new IP and had it not had the really bad press surrounding it, that's what we're kind of discussing.
Yeah, this is I agree with you on this. Like from the very beginning of the whole thing, like when I saw the game, I was just like, you know what, this probably would have been like exactly just a lot better if it wasn't under the clothes of Devil May Cry, where we have this standard, like it's got to be this stylish, it's got to be this charming, maybe some funny moments here and there. We had all these standards, this bar raised to this high degree, and they were just swinging on this super low bar with this subpar story, okay, sometimes broken gameplay. It would have been a lot better, maybe like with number 8. This is definitely something to take on with number 8, but I am all for the fact that it could have been its own game, and not many people would have bitched about it. The actual content itself.
Yep, this is true. I think if it was called something else, then there would be a lot less fan complaints because people would not link it to the original at all. So it would be on its own. I mean, if it would have stayed in that state of just being this meh playable game, probably decent to casuals, but hardcore fans will probably look at it and laugh. I mean, at least it will be doing something on its own instead of being called Devil May Cry.
Demons May Conspiracy, Devil May Cry.
Demons May Conspiracy. But I think what they should have done is to do that specifically and to not roast any fans on Twitter, because this is the problem with Ninja Theory. I think they got, a little bit too much on their high horse when it came to meme and everything. So did Capcom. Holy fuck. Some of the stuff they were saying on streams was ridiculous. So I think if they would have just kept the bad PR out as well, that would have also helped that game if it was a new IP. So that's what I think about that question.
I have to agree.
Oh man. I'm looking at the next one, but Brandon, did you go yet?
Have you guys talked about the Dev Edition live streams? Like I think it was Gregor Man saying, "But guys, you're getting 2 great games."
I remember those because I was watching those because I wanted to see how they were going to handle those streams, and also for other various reasons, but which I won't talk about because I don't think we need to name drop certain individuals in this call. But so I watched it and I couldn't help but think, like, if this is how the DmC Definitive Edition streams are going to be handled, I can only imagine how Special Edition streams are going to be handled, where, questions are being completely ignored, we're getting lied to straight up in our faces, and on stream, no less, stuff like that. And lo and behold, that's kind of how it happened, where, we weren't really getting told much information, and we had, someone who was very incompetent at playing the games, or even knowing anything about it. Because remember, this is coming from the same guy that, i.e. Gregaman, who, this is coming from the same guy who was ass-kissing the reboot and was saying that it was the greatest game ever and that people should just suck up and buy it and whatnot.
If that's the case, I sort of respected it.
This is the same guy that said that he wouldn't want to see something he wouldn't want to see a Hunk spin-off out of Resident Evil because he would expect them to take Hunk and turn him into Johnny Sasaki from the Metal Gear Solid series.
If it's the same guy, I sort of expected it, to be honest. Because didn't he say, if you don't like DmC Devil May Cry, fine? Which sounded very condescending as to people who had some issues with the game. He said that on live stream, and I was like, Go ahead.
Don't forget about God Hand. He said God Hand doesn't deserve a sequel.
He said that God Hand doesn't need a remake either.
Who the
like
fuck
an
said
HD
that?
remake.
Greg.
Dragon Man.
Oh, good. I'm glad your bitch ass is fired.
Damn.
Actually, I don't think he got fired. I think he was just he just
Let
left
go?
on his own.
I don't care. Good. Your ass does not deserve to be there.
Godhead was Godsend. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with a god.
Rule 1: don't diss Godhand.
I guess he never beat the first level.
That's
God.
funny because what was it? Brett, one of the other PR members before he also left. He was saying on stream for one of the Resident Evil what was it, Resident Evil 0 HD streams, that God Hand was Greg's favorite game.
So,
And
Greg.
he was like, "What do you think?" He said on stream, and I remember this because I made a parody video out of that stream. He's like, "So Greg, what do you think about a God Hand HD remaster?" He's like, "The game's great, but I don't think it necessitates an HD remaster."
Why
Man,
the
the
fuck
only
you
thing
lying,
that
Greg?
Great
necessitates
idea.
is a
What
foot
are
in
you
his ass.
talking about?
Man,
Oh, man.
people like him are why Capcom is where they are.
Again, Greg, why the fuck you lying?
You just imagine having to like fist of the fucking North Star people in today's modern graphics, or like even with like the Fox engine or whatever the fuck. That would have been just juice, clear motherfucking juice in my eyes, and I would want a refill.
Okay then.
Hi.
Alright, so we can move on to the next question, which is hilarious. I want to read this. So,
Yes, please, Ren, you do it.
so what did you think of the design change from Dino looking like a complete crackhead with lice on his balls to making Dante look like a more cleaned up version through development?
I thought that originally said ice on his balls, so
No, it's lice on his balls.
Look, life sounds a lot funnier.
oh yeah, okay.
Okay,
Lice.
so
That's a happy accident.
I want to talk about this a little bit. So I don't know why, but it is very good that they did change his design. I will give them that much, because Dante looked like a high-strung Tyrannosaurus Rex with his fucking eyeballs sunken in his initial design. So I was like, what? This is Dante? Are you fucking serious? He looks like he fucking just went to a meth lab or something. So yeah, them cleaning up his face. I mean, you know what? I don't even give a shit. They could have kept the shit on his face for all I care. That game sucked. But yeah, I don't know what they were going for. I guess if they wanted to make the ugliest person possible, then they surely succeeded in the development of that, because that looked pretty bad.
I can tell you what they were going for since I want to go next anyway.
Go ahead.
So they were going for this whole idea that Dante was, like adopted and whatnot, and then he ended up in like an insane asylum. I guess they were just trying to go for the fact that or the idea of like, okay, well, Dante's a demon killer or whatever, right? No, it does not have a nice ring to it, but, maybe they just see him as like a deranged person or whatever, just whacking a sword or swinging a sword everywhere, because they were going for this whole limbo idea where there's a parallel world within the world. So I guess that's what they were trying to go for, and they had him like chained up and whatnot in an interrogation room. And as far as how that particular design goes, I don't think it was like the worst thing ever. Looking back at it, it's definitely not what I would want Dante to look like, but as a new character, it's whatever. I don't really care, because this could have been a new character, and it would have been fine. But them cleaning him up later, it just goes to show you that Tamim got really subconscious about everybody comparing new Dante to him. And even with the cleanup, he still looks like new Dante. It's still not going to change the fact that they made him look a lot similar. Even like when he was the old, initial trailer, announcement trailer Dante, people found out that Tamim actually liked to smoke as one of his habits or whatever. Like people
Oh,
found that out
really?
about him. You know, and I don't really mind the whole like, because I think like to a degree it kind of made him look a little bit like DmC2 Dante to an extent with like how his eyes were and whatnot. But the problem is that because it was Devil May Cry and because it was Dante, it just didn't work. Like if this was again a new character, I think it would have been fine. It would have been the greatest character, but you know, you could have had something interesting going on there. I mean, hell, I think they even like at one point they gave him a spear in that initial trailer and whatnot, which they ended up getting rid of in the full
I think it transformed. The weapon would transform or something like that, which sounded interesting, but yeah, didn't go
Yeah,
through.
it was like it transformed into a spear and then it went into an axe and whatnot. And he was supposed to actually be like mentally insane. He would like in that trailer or whatever, he was screaming in the middle of the fight like he was, you know, really fucked up. So, you know, I think the concept that they had was all right, but the design overall, as it changed, it was very telling that it was just to me being very self-conscious of, you know, people comparing the new Dante to him.
I can see some sort of Weapon X experimented on person being in a hack and slash. I mean, of course, we already got a Wolverine hack and slash, but just a new IP in general. Because that would be a cool concept, but just the way he looks all dirty and homeless like this, it really just doesn't look appealing in terms of a character. I guess they could have did something different in original, but they were trying to harken back so much to the old design with the coat and everything, and there's some stuff that I really don't still get, like the whole Union Jack on his shoulder.
Oh, the Union Jack is a reference to where the studio's from.
Oh,
Which is still dumb.
It's still stupid because I think that, you know, the way Dante acts, he's very American oriented. You know, he goes out, fucks bitches, drinks.
And one other thing, I don't mean to interrupt you in the other sentence, but the other thing too is that what was it? They initially, at least, they wanted a punk rock theme. That's what they were saying when the game was first unveiled. I don't know shit about punk rock, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But
Self-indulgence, and there you go. You've
I want to know, like, for anybody that actually does like that kind of thing, like, is the game, you know, the official game, is it anything like that, or was the initial concept anything like that?
That is not punk rock.
Yeah, the dubstep throws it off like a lot for the game, and the look. I don't see. I think punk rock people, they dress more eccentric, not as bad as this. I just think this is a bad design overall, and they tried to do a lot to cater to the original Dante with the coat. For the reference, I think they could have done better. Like maybe they could have gave Dante a weapon that was reminiscent to Heavily Sword, because I mean that game is Ninja Theory's first PS3 game, I believe.
Actually, the combat is exactly like Heavenly Sword.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of like
hold the left shoulder button for light weapons, hold the right for heavy weapons.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of like looks and aesthetics, I think maybe they could have put a Heavily Sword weapon in there, like, and you get some sort of Nariko reference. That would have been pretty cool, but I guess they didn't. So it's a lot of stuff that really stands out as weird, or you don't know why they did it. But I do agree on the point of them making Tamim, you know, changing that look because he was very self-conscious. Because everyone was making comparison pictures, and he looks just like Dante in the original trailer.
I'm sure it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Remember, you know, Alex Jones looks like Catfish.
He does look like a fish.
That man has been shot, dead.
Dude, he works at 2K Games though. If
Good, they saved him.
No, they didn't. Mafia
2K
3.
being great, but yeah.
Mafia 3. So he went to work on some more shit.
I guess he escaped 47's call for Capcom.
Just remember, it's a collaboration.
Oh yeah, he couldn't figure out what to call the damn thing at the time. It took them forever to call it either a reboot, a continuation, a collaboration they couldn't pick. That's even worse.
just to make one more jab to Alex Jones, I swear, in every interview he had, I swear he was like shaking like a tree when it came to answering fan questions, saying stuff like, "Oh, well, we can't talk about it right now. We can't talk about the game, you know."
Or man.
You know, I kind
frame
of
rate was that.
I kind of feel bad for him. I know this is a little bit diverging, but I feel like he was only doing his job. He didn't actually want to promote the game. But because he was told that that's what he had to do, he was kind of forced to do it.
So he had a gun pointed to his head the entire
Well,
time.
he did say that, too, on stream, that he had a gun pointed to his back.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
Please tell me that's a joke.
They
No,
kept
he's
him off.
upset.
There's an actual stream where he
did say
said that.
Yeah, he
Jesus.
did.
Is it if the game doesn't do well or something, like he had a gun pointed in his back?
How is
Yeah,
it his
what's that?
fault?
It's
He's
not
not,
his
he
fault,
didn't
but
make the
he's
game.
promoting the game, so it is his job. If it fails, no.
Look, Capcom had him locked away in the attic, feeding him giant thigh boy lady parts. I don't know.
No, he's feeding him Mega Man.
Feeding him Mega Man. Yep.
Mega Man.
That's where he went.
He ate his Mega Buster.
He ate his little lemon balls.
He
that
fed
he
him
shoots.
Frank West as well, you know.
Damn, don't. Well, I'm not going there. But I'm gonna move on to the next one. So number 8. Who wants to read this? Dom.
Oh,
You wanna
yeah,
read it?
since I made it, I guess I can read it off.
Yeah.
So with Ninja Theory's new game Hellblade in the works, what are your thoughts on the concept art for DmC Devil May Cry? Sorry, I misworded this question, but what are your thoughts on the concept art for DmC Devil May Cry, where Dante had to go through like some asylums and whatnot? Do you think that DmC should have been called Hellblade instead, with the combat simply being an inspiration of the Devil May Cry series? And in my opinion, I would say yeah, because I mean, the thing going back to like the initial trailer too, like Dante was supposed to be like a mentally damaged character and whatnot, so it would have made a lot more sense to call this game Hellblade, where, you know, Hellblade, their whole thing is like, we're trying to go tackle mental illness or whatever. Like, couldn't they have done that with this? And especially like these are just a few concept arts that I pulled. There's a few more that show like an asylum too, but you know, just for reference sake, it's like, why couldn't they, you know, use this stuff and just make a whole new IP out of it, and just call it Hellblade? They really could have made something new and interesting out of that, but instead they decided to just, oh, well, we're working with Capcom now, we're going to start insulting fans and whatnot, and we're going to ruin people's favorite Capcom character, you know?
They ruined their credibility by that too. So they were like virtually unknown for the most part. Yeah, some people may like the games though, but they weren't massive appeal. And then when they got Capcom on the label, they just made things worse for themselves.
I think Capcom's approach to this is the reason why everything went to shit, because from what I heard, to my memory, Mr. Kenji and Afune, they're making these outlandish statements of, oh, we have to cater and appeal to the West because I need more money, so I'm going to create mighty number dog shit. Then, when it comes to Capcom's behalf, they approached Ninja Theory to make this game. I mean, they should have just made Devil May Cry 5 and went on from there. But
We could have had a 5th game by now if it wasn't for that stupid waste of time.
But
But
they have 6 games by now.
Pachinko
Yeah,
slot.
technically 6 games.
yeah, but their approach to, you know, Ninja Theory, I don't think it helped at all. I think that Hellblade, the way it sounds now from seeing all this, it sounds like that was Tamim's initial idea, is to make someone that has issues with mental illness, that has issues with, you know, coping, all this other stuff, stress, and it carries over into gameplay. The concept itself sounds interesting, but the execution, I don't know for sure. I think it looks cool, and probably to play someone crazy, I can get behind that idea, but again, it had to be shoehorned in with Devil May Cry because money, and that's the only reason I think they put that name right on the box. So their dumb, deluded logic did not realize that it was going to piss off hardcore fans, and it did, because they were under the impression so long that they was not pissing anyone off, that they were doing everything right, that everything was a-okay, when there was a lot of complaints and problems.
Hey, Dom, do you have a little insight when you took your trip to Capcom?
About what exactly?
Didn't you not ask the employees how they felt about that game?
Yeah, the conversation that I had, I think, what was it? The person that I was talking to, they had said that they thought it was an alright game. But you know, they were always interested in just hearing what other people think about it, because they know that it's a very
Polarizing game?
yeah. Yeah, so
Controversial might be the good word for it.
Yeah, so they so when I talked to them about it, they were always interested in hearing different opinions on it, which is not a bad thing. So you know, that's when I basically told them about how, you know, I think that Devil May Cry 2 is you know, is a better game because it actually functions. But I think that's a later question in the doc too, so I'll
It is.
save my whole spiel on that later.
If we had taken Hellblade, I'm still, you know, like I said from the beginning before we started this podcast, that Hellblade is kind of meh to me, because the whole over the shoulder camera concept has been very hit and miss, and now we're making a hack and slasher for that. It's still all right, it's interesting, but if they were to have done that, taking that with the original concept they seem to have been going for Demon's Mayhem Conspiracy, especially with the whole punk rock theme, actually going back to that, because I did want to have my 2 cents on that. I think because the punk rock definitely would have brought a more wicked and gnarly experience to the dump, rather than trying to go for the hardcore rock vibe they ended up going for. I think it just would have worked out much better if they didn't go for the edge and went for the original concept of the Insane Asylum. Plus, with the way they did it, they're going with Hell's Blade. That's interesting. That's just my 2 cents. Okay, back to eating more chocolate.
So did anybody else want to go, or?
No, you guys kind of nailed that.
All
Man,
right.
I call reading 10 though. That shit's making me laugh.
Brendan, you want to read off number 9?
Sorry, I got a lot of background noise because it's a little rugrats here. And
We can't hear it.
Oh, not yet. That's why I was muted.
Don't hit them with the low feed.
Okay,
I
I
already
guess I
did that
can.
yesterday.
I guess I can read
I got
9.
it.
Okay.
I got it.
All right.
Okay. The gameplay and story is the gameplay and story have been quite the ride. The story having this edgy tone, edgy music, writing middle schoolers can scoop out of their ass, and the gameplay. Feel free to list off examples.
You weren't supposed to read
others.
that.
Yeah, okay, no, I'm reading a question. Shut up. To only able
wrote
to attack enemies with certain weapons. Double trigger, launching enemies in the air, which kills freefall combat, etc. Which do you believe damage the already damaged child the most? Story or gameplay? And what do you think they could have done to polish this dirt rug to make it at least somewhat bearable?
I say the gameplay is absolutely more damaging, because Devil May Cry is not known for having its amazing story, although I think 3 is actually very, very good, and 4 had potential that could be expanded upon in another game. But when it boils down to it, it is a hack and slash. The gameplay is what makes up the most of the substance, and they completely dropped the ball on it, in my opinion.
Yeah, the
No.
double trigger is annoying. Oh my god.
I call the Devil Trigger in that game casual mode, because the enemies can't even fight you. At least
It's
in
not
the
even
OG
Devil Trigger.
games, they could still hit you.
Not even Devil Trigger, it's Dante Trigger.
It's shit, is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's-
now,
Shit.
to give my peacefulness, now, I won't deny it, though. I had a little fun with it the time I played with the game, because there's some interesting things they had done, though, but it's too casualized, which is the problem. Like, yeah, it has its fast pace, at least on the Definitive Edition, though, but, I mean, it's still a casual game. Now, for me, which is more damaging, I will say at least the story, because it's an abomination. I mean, the writing is terrible. it ruined the characters. It ruined the iconic features that were in the previous game. It took away the meaning of the series as a whole. It's full of holes more than the original series was because the original series is not even finished yet. So we can't even patch the series up yet. And overall, the characters are unlockable. Mundaz is not even threatening. I mean, the dude is like a big gimped cook daddy or something. Virgin is, well, you already know the answer to that. Dante is like, who did it and why? Cat is like the most useless character in the entire series. I do mean that.
And the series full of females who are actually, you know, OP. Like Trish, who's fucking super strong, is now they're nowhere to be found.
That's why I figured the whore. That's all she is useful for. Being her stomach get blown open.
Oh, actually, wait. Wasn't there a comment about that? About the lady and didn't he say something stupid about Lady and Trish? I swear to God, Dom, maybe you remember this.
I think he called both Lady and Trish whores or something like that.
Oh, the irony.
Then I look at Kat.
He said that because of the way they dressed, and he said he wouldn't have whores. And he said he wouldn't have whores or strippers or shit like that in his video game because they were
motherfucker.
Yeah.
One intro sequence later,
yes.
whores and strippers.
I was like,
who
and
apparently
they
can
look
have
like
sex
strippers.
with their bras on. Apparently.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Lady and Trish look like strippers. Then we have actual sluts and strippers and blowjobs. All right, Tamim.
And a legit succubus, a legit succubus in the game.
That disappointed the shit out of me. I was like, maybe there'll be somebody good looking. Oh God, no, was I wrong?
Oh, wait, what is this fucking trying to be, MILF?
You know what? Her name was supposed to be Poison originally. I was like, that sounds a hell of a lot better. It makes more
It
sense.
is Poison.
No,
It is.
well, oh no, that's her name, but she's classified as a
Succubus.
which how? They're supposed to be hot as hell, not ugly as hell.
Someone to me wants to fuck that. I mean, you know, give him some.
He can
you know,
put his
jerkins.
dick in a pimple for all I care.
Yeah, give him some
It
jerkins.
is a
You know?
pimple.
That's my point. Oh.
But let me finish real quick. Yeah, overall, the story was more damaging for the reasons I listed than the gameplay. The gameplay can be enjoyable to those who actually want to play it, though, but it is nothing like special compared to 3 and 4.
I thought
All right,
this is actually interesting because I thought the reason why I wrote that parenthesis near the end was because I was like, oh, I was expecting more of like the story, but given the guy who's watched, sit down, ate some popcorn to this story, it is it's very flip-floppy. Because, like, the character, like, you know, Virgil's not a plot twist. Everyone fucking knew what Virgil was up to. He's just become more a pansy-wiped version of his former self. I loved you so much, brother. Get the fuck out of here. First, Dante's character development was, you know, he started off with, like, useless. I could have done this by myself. Suddenly, one split second later, she gets captured. Cat was the best support. She helped us get here, there. Okay. Suddenly, Dante gives a crap about Cat because the plot demands it, and and he's a wreck. He's a wrecking ball. He's trying to be having the same kind of charm that the actual Dante has, where he's witty and comical, but instead he just has this douche, I'm your prom date, you sack of shit, smack the can out of your hand, it'll kill you. I bet a Japanese writing could have had something a lot more charming than this, like, dickery comparison. Like, Virgil, dickery comparison, speaking of going off from Dante and Virgil have like a little brother bickering moment, which, you know, could be more relatable in the stance. It's just that my dick is bigger than yours.
Someone tell me how this awesome character who did that shit went from that to what he came in the reboot.
He, from a guy who can slash up a bunch of demons, no, not a care in the world, flick his hair back into his original spiky position, goes from, I loved you so much, brother, and my dick is bigger than yours.
I don't. Seeing this GIF makes me sad. Very sad.
And
Well-
we're gonna put aside the attempts to diss each other, their language. Like, I wouldn't mind language if it was, used in a not so trying to be hardcore kind of way. I talk the way I write my own shit. Parody's better than the way they fucking try to write their own burns. And, I throw in, like, profanity stuff. Like, exactly what Bren says. No More Heroes at least put profanity in the right spot, rather than make it feel like an awkward insertion into this script. And, yeah. There's definitely a lot more I can fucking say about the crappy script writing and crappy character development, and how it just kind of pisses all over the dignity the original characters have.
Brandon.
For me, it's kind of a mix of both. I mean, I don't know which I got more cancer from with this game, but like, I think like looking back at all the Devil May Cry games, I like the stories to all of them. I don't like the gameplay to all of them, obviously, because like 2 is not the greatest in gameplay standards. But I like the story for what it is. It's not the greatest, but it is what it is. It's not the worst. But like James said earlier, it was more about the combat for the games rather than the story, because they were never known to be these really amazing stories. They were kind of, I would say they were kind of self-aware that there weren't serious stories at all. So seeing how it turned out to be, it was just a nightmare. I mean, at least with the original games, Dante, despite being in depth a lot, he had a job. He lived somewhere. He wasn't homeless, and he can at least find some fucking pizza to eat off of, or strawberry sundae. He had some form of income to like feed himself. Whereas Dante was just like, I'm homeless. I'm gonna waste all my money at this club and lose my house in the span of a few minutes. Yeah, it's just
Cue the Incredible Hulk sad walking theme here.
or sad MLG music, because
Yes.
you have Virgin, who completely ruins Virgil's character by holding a gun, because Virgil, despite 3 having him hold a gun, Virgil does not like using guns. And that's just a fact. Like even in I think it was Ranger Stop, where Dan Southworth had mentioned that that scene in Devil May Cry 3 where him and Dante hold the guns and say jackpot when they kill off Arkham. He said he didn't like that scene because he got so into character, and that really, at least to him, he felt as though went against the character, because the character throughout the entire story never used guns, and did not have, from what he was told at least, didn't have any affinity for guns. That's why he used summon swords and whatnot, and that's why he was really against Dante's methods. So it was just a complete bastardization of Virgil's character.
Yeah, the only caveat is he did tell Dante he'll try it his way for once, but fucking the reboot, he has a goddamn sniper rifle and he shoots a pregnant woman in the back. It's so
Yes,
it's so
the
disgraceful.
opposite of being honorable.
Yeah,
All his dignity shat
mean,
down the toilet.
Basically, any self-respect the character had is gone.
yeah.
Basically, Dante had his own nice place. He had morals, he had standards, he had a motivation. He knew what he wanted to do in his life, and that was, exterminate demons, get job, make money out of it, for being wronged. This one, Dante didn't have any of that. He didn't really fucking care about that shit. He was just doing his own thing until, Virgin pulled him in and it's like, hey, here's your past. Remember this shit? Oh, yeah, that's right. That happened. Now I'm suddenly mad. Let's go and take this son of a gun down that took my mom and dad down. What the fuck?
Also, they're not human, so any humanity or lessons that the series has taught us is totally erased in the new Devil May Cry.
Yeah, and that's another problem. Like, even Brandon, I think Brandon has mentioned this before off air too. That like in every Devil May Cry story, there's always a character crying, always, and they didn't have any of that in this game.
I
Like,
believe in 4 it was Nero, since he was new. I guess they wanted him to be the one to do that.
well, again, the point still stands is that in every single game somebody ends up crying, and that never happens in the reboot. Like it's just and remember you had the ending scene in definitive edition which I was expecting to be when Gregor Man was saying, oh, it's like a director's cut ending or whatever.
Oh,
I was
God.
expecting this to end off like you would see Dante opening up his own shop known as Devil May Cry, right? I was expecting that. But no, what does this director's cut ending become? The one that Greg and Man was hyping up so much on the streams. It's just Dante reaching for Cat's ass.
Yep. 10
Wait,
seconds.
yeah,
Yes.
the definitive-
I laughed at that so badly. Oh, yes, that's the extended ending.
And remember, you had all these journalists and you had all these fanboys saying, well, the stories were never that good, and they would always point to the Fill Your Dark Soul with Light scene from Devil May Cry 1, and it's like, well, yeah, no shit, it's the first game, and this was a game that came out very early in the PS2 life cycle. Of course it's still going to have that cheesy PS1 style writing. But if you were to go to Devil May Cry 3 or Devil May Cry 4, it's a lot better writing in comparison.
Not
That's
to mention,
just
it was also
tasteless.
it spun off from originally trying to be a Resident Evil game.
That ending is just tasteless.
Yeah,
That's
I actually didn't
can't
notice
even.
that. I thought it was just some different last minute second change with the whole the eyes thing or whatever the fuck.
No.
I didn't notice his hand going downward to someone's ass because I don't my dick is usually kept in here and not going everywhere like this guy does every fucking night.
But yeah, it's like, oh my God, it throws you off at first because you don't pay attention to it. You will miss it. But if Gregor Man was hyping that up, then he has to be the most shallow person ever, because there's nothing hype about that scene at all.
Yeah, I remember he was hyping it up like, oh, there's a special new like director's cut ending or whatever, and I'm like, oh, and again, I was expecting this to be just kind of like another slap in the face to fans where like, Dante opens up his shop, or whatever. He opens up Devil May Cry, and maybe he would don the red jacket and grow out the white hair or whatever. That's what I was expecting. But that's not. I got something even better as far as like cringeworthy, cancer is concerned.
Good God.
But I didn't talk about the gameplay so much. The gameplay took such a big hit. It was very casualized, like Brandon said earlier. And I think the biggest problem of that is because like Devil May Cry has never been, casual friendly. Or at least not until 4, where they introduced Nero and they introduced Easy Automatic. It never really was.
I would say in
Easy
3
Automatic.
they kind of made it easier with the other modes.
Yeah, Easy Automatic was in the other ones, I think, too.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
first one you can get easy automatic if you just sucked that much, and I remember getting that because I sucked that much back in the day. So it
Okay,
exists.
well,
you just had to unlock it
oh, okay. Well, see, that's how you know I don't know about it
because you didn't
That
suck.
was only
That's
half
a
the
good thing.
scrub.
Yeah, see, so that's how you know. But Nero was supposed to be like an introduction for newcomers that were not really into the franchise or didn't really play the games or didn't know about the games until 4, because 4 was the first one to go on the Xbox platform, which was also another big thing because that meant more people were going to get into this franchise. And even if you like play 4, right? 4 for experienced players, like if you play as Nero, as an experienced player, Nero opens up a lot of potential, and if you're a beginner, he's very easy to get into. Whereas Dante, Dante still has a lot of potential, even with like the new changes they added with his rendition in 4. But for experienced players, it's like if you know how to play him, you can play him very well. But for beginners, it might be a little bit more challenging because you have like things like style switching, and you have all these other weapons and whatnot that you switch between, and it's very different if you were playing through Nero like most of the game, and up until the point where you get to play as Dante. And from what I remember, James, you were reading off the Devil May Cry 3142 art book, and it said that, if I'm not mistaken, again, it said that Ninja Theory really liked Dante's combat, and they really liked Nero's combat, and that's why they made Dante the way that he is in
Yes,
Reboot.
the reasoning is because they like both combat styles, and for some stupid reason thought, let's put them together. No, you took away what made both of the characters diverse and interesting, was that they had their own unique abilities. Putting them together into one character just takes away the value of both of them, to me.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I could understand like making a new variation of moves from other characters, like they kind of did with 4 Special Edition with Nero. Or I'm sorry, not with Nero, with Virgil, where they kind of gave him some of his own renditions of the DmC combos, and I thought that was
as well as
fine.
completely new ones like Million Slash, which is one of my favorite moves now.
Right, but stuff like that, I think that's fine. But you look at this game's combat, and it's like, oh, use the red weapons that are slow and heavy, and then use and do lots of damage, and then use the blue weapons that are really light and fast
And do no damage.
Do no damage, but they feel like more akin to what Devil May Cry weapons should be. And it's like, this does not work. I mean, I could understand having a little bit more of a heftier weapon that's maybe not as fast as some of these other weapons, but it would still feel like a Devil May Cry weapon, like the gauntlets. Like, that I could understand.
I remember the color-coded enemies. That really broke the fucking game for me.
Yeah, goodbye,
Yeah,
free fall.
I was gonna get to that too. Like,
Ugh.
you had the color-coded enemies in vanilla, which you couldn't do shit to. Then you had the definitive edition, which removed the color-coded enemies, but there's still an issue because you can't launch these enemies unless if you use the proper color. So it's still an issue, but it's been slightly addressed. And it's just like, it really just was not, like, overall not satisfying combat. It just kind of felt like hand-holding combat. I think the only thing that the only interesting concept for the combat was with the trying to make more aerial-friendly types of combos and whatnot. I don't think that was an issue per se, but doing the aerial combat in the official game is just piss easy, and it's not really like an achievement that you just kind of like earn via playing several hours of Devil May Cry and learning about the combat. I don't mind introducing new aerial combos. I don't think that's an issue. And I think that's very welcomed. But making it piss easy to do where anybody can do it, it really defeats any sort of challenge, and really defeats any sort of variety. Because I mean, you can look at DmC combo vids, and they all look the same. They even had one combo player or whatever for the reboot come in and help them out with definitive edition and promoting that game.
Dude, if you can stay in the air so long with Aquila. It's so stupid the way it works.
The grapple hook was such a goddamn casual crutch that I could not stand it.
Yeah,
being in the air in the original series is a fucking privilege that you have to earn by being good at the game. Not getting a grapple hook that you can infinitely pull to enemies. That was so dumb.
Yeah.
I can't.
Also, by the way, the Osiris can be abusable to certain enemies, like those big brute enemies with chainsaws and the fat ones. You can literally combo them to oblivion in the air, like making like his easy if you're on harder difficulties.
Oh yeah,
this is actually if you just launch them up with the Hulk hands, which that's what they are. They're just the poor man's Ifrit, right? The burnt Hulk hands that look like they just went through like a lava pit or whatever. You just launch them up with that, and then you just use Aquila to keep keep them up in the air and grab all of the enemies. Then use Osiris to just constantly do the aerial combo that launches them even further up. If you just keep switching between the two angel arms, you can constantly keep them up in the air, and it's just
Actually,
a joke.
you can't use Aquila on the big enemies to keep them in the air because they will fall flat. You got to use Rebellion to keep those particular enemies in the air. Along with
If you want to grab all the other enemies too, you could just keep swapping in between all the weapons, the angel arms, and just keep a constant stream of enemies up on the air.
Or if you want to use Osiris and jump canceling, you can go to space. That's what I did.
Man,
You don't even need to do that either. That's the thing. You don't need to jump cancel.
I know, but it's there. It's like there is a little thing that they put in there, I guess, because they wanted to have some remnants of the older series, so they did put jump canceling.
Hook is an infinite jump cancel tool.
Yes.
As I said, friggin' scrub-friendly wet thing, so it's like you don't even need jump canceling. By the way, the jump canceling hitbox is gigantic.
It really is.
It is, and by the way, it's considered stylish to have all of your enemies all the way up into the skybox in that
Fucking
reboot,
stratosphere.
That's what's considered stylish in the reboot. It's not constant jump canceling and doing interesting combos and setups.
I just wanted to see. Go ahead.
Or even like when you use you exploit the mechanics in like 4. Like I remember watching this video and I was like stunned when I realized what he was doing. Because Dante's trickster, he's nerfed. When you could do his jump dash or his dash, where they would just quickly switch to Royal Guard, and in a split second back to trickster, and boom, he's doing like the same, like a crazy amount of dashes with no like pause. Like there was some creativity if you learned how to exploit. I was just like, holy shit, that's awesome.
That's probably Dongarius. It sounds like him. He does that a lot.
Dude.
But
Lots of trickster canceling.
I went to space as a test. I just wanted to see if I could go out of bounds in the map, and I was not disappointed. Me and the enemy was up there for like at least, I would say, about a good hour or so. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous.
While you're at it, did you go to Mars?
Yeah, I saw Mars. I met the Dune guy. We shook hands. It was excellent.
Great.
I rainstormed all the way from the top of the map to the bottom. I swear it took me like 2.5 minutes to hit the fucking ground because the gravity is that bad.
Oh my god.
It really is that bad.
It really is, though.
It's even worse if you spam it because for some reason he defies gravity even more going back into that animation over and over.
Oh, and this game does have the best enemy reactions to the camera when you turn your back to them because they will absolutely not attack you at all.
Nope. I mean, it's true in the here's the thing. The difference, I'll let you go in a second, but the difference between the reboot with the camera and the original series with the camera is the enemies, like the Frosts and stuff in the original games, they will jump back into frame, or at least they will try and get back onto frame. Whereas the reboot just stand around and do nothing. They don't even bother trying to get back on camera.
Do you mind if I talk a little bit about that? Really
Please
quick?
do. Please do.
Yeah, they will literally just walk back and forth. Sometimes they could even be in frame and they'll do that. You can have it set on a hard difficulty and they will just walk back and forth. They do not try. And people try to, people who like that game will try to say that this game is a challenge. The enemies are a threat. And, I'm thinking to myself,
Dick's more of a threat.
I'm thinking to myself, as someone who's played Devil May Cry 2, it possibly even more so than DmC, the reboot, right? The enemies in 2 would at least try to hit you on harder difficulties.
They do.
They don't just stand around. They try to run to you and try to hit you.
All you need to do is literally beat the game once, play it on New Game Plus. If you have the kablooey darts, you can shoot them into certain bosses and detonate them while in Devil Trigger, and you will body them. They will have literally 10% health left.
And they've fixed that in Definitive Edition, but I tested it out on PC myself against the Hunter. That dude was a joke. Just how many darts is it? 8 darts?
Because, I think it's 8 or 6.
A gun is killing him.
Once you do Demon Dodge, Devil Trigger, and in the darts, it will take away almost all his health. You only have a bar and a half left.
That's
Demon
even
Dodge.
more stupid than Dragon Breaker in 4 with Virgil. I can't believe that's even more broken.
Demon
Yeah,
Dodge
'cause
definitely
that
gives you
needs
more
a setup,
damage.
though.
Yep.
It does. At
Like,
least
even-
it does take a setup. Yes.
Like the whole shooting, like making them like chop suey with the fucking gun in the reboot, from what it sounds like, because I didn't know about that fucking shit. Like you can try to do the shoot everything in Devil May Cry 2. You can do the same thing you're fucking doing right now, but you will still be presented with somewhat of a challenge for the right enemy in the right place. I remember trying to
The
take on
goats.
the fucking the goats for one, and an actual boss. I don't remember. It was the 3-head thing, mask fucking.
Oh,
thing.
Trismagia.
Yeah.
Try-
See,
try
I
to
was
fuck
trying
that
to,
boss.
pull out my machine gun, pull out my handgun, try to shoot my way out of that one. And I actually was realizing, wow, this is actually requiring effort. I actually had to fucking double trigger a few times because even if it was so easy, you can shoot your way out. They actually did presented some challenges.
There the
So
dickheads are. I hate this boss.
yeah, so you couldn't just get up, but you had to give credit though, because that was like one of the few times Dante spoke and it sounded cool. I think.
Mhm.
Don't talk. Just die.
Just die. Yeah, that's my reaction too. Just die already.
Exactly. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the trigger. I do have some other things I had written way about Devil Trigger in reboot, which I actually, when I think about it, it's more like tantrum trigger. Because suddenly you activate your little tantrum trigger and everyone's in there, and hey, now bitch, because it's so casual, you could just slash them all up there in the air for as long as you're in your little tantrum phase. The end. I remember when I first tried to do aerial combos back in like the actual old games, like back in the day when I was still even casual, like just doing a little air combo. That was pretty cool. I did 3 slashes. Now let's go continue to chase after them. I felt like I was trying to hunt down an enemy in games like 3 or 4, where you just don't want to let them rest. You wanted to do something like the combo videos, but you can't fucking do jump canceling like those people could do in combo videos. So it felt great when you were able to get a hold of them, whereas in a reboot it just looks like, what is effort? You touch them, their reaction, you got them, you touch them, there you go, have fun with that. But in the other games, sometimes they did present a challenge, like they blocked, or maybe some enemies don't even let you like try to even fucking combo. There's those say like the ice dudes. I'm having a stuck drawer moment, but like they would fucking you would try to hit them, but they're not exactly reacting to it all the time. They would maybe Frost. There we go. Yeah, when you had to like go hard, you have to use like some hardcore weapons that actually do pack a punch to stop them. Because
Yeah, they have armor.
or whatever, they would just be like slap, and there goes your combo. So there was like an actual challenge where all the other enemies seemed like you can just beat the living shit out of him and boom, next yesterday's garbage. I gotta say, like, Devil May Cry 4 was actually the game that got me into the series. I didn't play it actually, like, at first. I saw it, I wanted to get into it, and then I played Devil May Cry 1 through 3 before playing Devil May Cry 4. And it was weird because, you know, as I was very, like, outsider. I was like, oh, where the hell's Nero? It's Dante? Oh, well, this is cool. Then I started the proper way from 1 through 3, playing the series, and the combat evolved naturally from what I enjoyed a lot in 1, even though I kept doing Stinger because I sucked. I was playing easy automatic when I started. I wanted to get good, so by the time I played it later on in the days, it was more enjoyable because I was actually doing combos. The combo system at the time was kind of like meh because you couldn't use your guns. You had to strictly use a weapon, actually get a combo and get rank or whatever. But it provided a challenge. It was cool. It was nice. Devil May Cry 2, we're going to skip over that because that one was just hit anything and you got an S.
That was the first game, actually.
Right. And then 3 was, you know, one of the times where, you're presented an actual challenge. 3 was, the basics for the rest of the game. And it was pretty cool to dive into, like, these different styles and vary up your gameplay depending on which style you do. You had one style at a time, right? And that's, you stick with it. You stick with your guns. Or you had to actually sometimes strategically pick a style. Like, sometimes it'd be better to go through this mission with Trickster, or maybe it might be better to go with, like, Swordmaster. Whatever you're proficient in, it would be better if you did it that way. Like, I remember back in the day when I still can use Royal Guard decently against a Virgil, and that's all I needed. And boom, I can get through that on Dante Must Die. End of story. and all of that juice and flavor kind of just kind of left the building with this easy, scrubby, combat system the reboot had with like the easy juggling and all that jazz that was more of a game privilege. I remember even there are enemies that you could try to do jump cancel with, and even they will resist that, like the lizard men. The lizard men.
Assaults.
Yeah, the assaults. If you try to do some like jump canceling combos before you break their shield, they will like say like, nope, that's enough of that. Let's go back to doing our thing. There was resistance.
They can actually break out of your air combos. They're the only enemy that can do it.
Yep.
Exactly. Which that's cool. That's nice. It's a nice challenge. From what it sounds like, there was none of that challenge in DMC or Demons Mayhem Conspiracy. So
Nope.
easy peasy vanilla squeezy.
And for those who think that game is difficult, please go play DMC 3 on DMD. I want you to see how fast your ass gets fucking kicked.
Yeah,
Or
it's
even
difficult
like
when you get hit.
On the original DMC 2. I think even like trying to play Devil May Cry 4 on Hell in Hell, or even Devil May Cry 3 Hell in Hell, those were the real like
Those are really challenging, but it's one hit kill though. So versus
Hell, but
High.
Heaven and Hell, that's Heaven and Hell where you can one hit kill everyone, whereas in Hell and Hell,
No, I mean like one hit kills you on Hell and Hell. That's what I mean.
right? Okay.
So
yeah.
when you fight against a whole bunch of enemies and you could die in one hit,
You know
that's
what?
kind of like stressful though. But
You wanna
DMV is like
di-
have a lot of health.
If you want a difficulty comparison, look at the first boss of the reboot, and then look at the first boss of 3 between Cerberus and the Hunter. I think many people tell you who have played 3 that Cerberus is
The
not
second
easy when you
boss.
first start the game.
You will die to
Yes.
Cerberus if you didn't properly set yourself up before the boss fight. And someone's got their Devil May Cry going.
God damn it, phone.
But,
Triggered.
You know
triggered.
what's funny too?
Devil triggered.
You know what's
I'll be
funny
back.
too is that because I think we're gonna start wrapping up on that question, and start moving on in a bit. But just to kind of end off on this topic, the first boss in the reboot, I actually got to glitch itself to the point where it just kept running around in circles.
Wow.
I've only been able to do that one time. I don't know what I did to trigger it, but it happened, and it was one of the funniest things that I'd ever had happen, because I literally was just standing there just shooting. It basically became Devil May Cry 2 at that point.
Oh,
What
you're talking
was-
about the Hunter locked up?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm talking about this glitch right here.
Oh, yes, Dom has footage. I forgot about that.
The glitches, they're real.
I remember that
Alright.
stream all too well.
All right, so
This
James.
Renegade, you read that one all.
No, James wanted to read it, I think.
Which
Or
one?
I can do it. Number
Which
10.
one?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
you
no,
know,
no,
you
no,
know,
give
boys.
me-
read that one off.
No, that's mine. I will gladly read this first part. So, the ball juggling penis hugger that is Tamim, the director of this game, has said Dante would get laughed out of a bar in Tokyo due to the way he looked. It was obvious that Ninja Theory wanted this to be. Wait, let me rephrase that. Wanted this game to be taken seriously while retaining cool assets, but how do you feel when those assets were stolen from the original series after mocking it so much? This includes Dino's devil trigger look, the British flag on his coat, and Dante's smoking habit.
You know what's
Oh,
ironic,
God.
real quick, James?
Go
You know
ahead.
what's ironic about that quote? Dante in the anime went into a bar, he got laughed at, and he killed everybody in the bar. You know, granted, there were demons now. There were demons, but he was in a bar. So keep that in mind. If he could kill demons like that, he will beat the living crap out of every human in the bar. Just saying.
I don't think if anyone laughed at Dante, he would actually remotely give a shit. I'm gonna be very honest. I don't think he'd care.
He wouldn't though, but if they antagonize him, he will fight back. Like,
Well,
that's-
if they try to push him around, he could probably flick them through like 8 walls because he's
well,
almost like
you know,
Superman.
in the
in 4.
anime, he was fighting off 2 humans to go to jail, and he pushed one guy to a window without even trying.
Well, I mean, you've seen how he slightly shoves Nero and he breaks him into a wall, so.
Slightly. That wasn't even that.
Alright, that wall is crying for its mother.
Okay, then. All right, so
Right.
what I think about this question is it's stupid of them to say, hey, you know, Dante, he's this guy that will get laughed out of a bar, and then all of a sudden we turn around, well, we got to give our new Dante white hair because we got to appeal to the fans a little bit, even though we insulted them. We got to go ahead and give him this Dante trigger because they had to give him the fucking red coat and the white hair and Double Trigger, and then they had to take some other sort of aesthetics from him as well. So I think it's very stupid of them to go back on their word of mocking something. If you don't like it, at least try something original and new and never done before. So a lot of traits carried over to the new Dante, and it just didn't work. Even the sarcastic, sort of cocky attitude and some of the things that he said, some one-liners. Something about you're dumped or something, where he talks about the succubus, like. He makes some dating jokes towards her, and it's just it comes off as cringeworthy in my opinion. So I believe that Mr. Tamim will be the one to get laughed out of a bar because of the way he looks. I mean, oh my god, it's just horrible the way they treated this whole situation.
I would like to point out the interesting part about the whole design they gave him was I added on to that little parentheses, like the Dino's Devil Trigger look, the British flag on his coat and his original smoking habit, because on Wikipedia, you know, when I did little research back in the day, the interesting part about all of that was, you know, that was the aim for the original Dante. The original Dante was supposed to have, like, this cool, but he doesn't actually smoke kind of vibe, but he also has the wits of like an English comedian or something like that, which is, you know, what we see in our classic Dante. And this Dante just is more American in everything.
American trash, more like
American trash, not even American wits. It's just preteen wits, and I think that's all the ironic thing about that whole design and his look wise.
I remember something. I remember Ninja Theory's press conference where they tried to explain why their Dante was more serious, and they put in slideshows of the old Dante in DMC4 with Brokeback Mountain. I remember this vividly. They were trying to make implications that he was gay or something.
Even though, I don't know, he's pretty straight in 3 where he's trying to hit up ladies' ass all day.
You know what's even funnier is that when they wanted to make Dante a gay vampire, the bitter irony in that. But I wanted to talk about the whole bar scene just briefly. It's funny because, like Brandon said, the opening episode, or the first episode, the opening scene is Dante killing demons in a bar. And it's just like, you know, if that doesn't scream that Tamim doesn't know anything about the franchise, then I don't know what does. But then I was also pointing to this little cartoon that a Polish fan of the series made, where it was just making fun of that statement, where, you know, Dante's up in a bar, in a random bar in Poland, drinking it up with other like Polish people, which I thought was really funny.
Oh, what is this horse shit?
I remember.
Everyone uploaded.
I remember that.
Actually, they're wrong. It's the other way around. He is pretty much a superhero of his own right at this point. Also, he doesn't look anything like these fucking cucks.
Is that the presentation you were just talking about?
Yes, they actually photoshopped his ass in there.
Oh my god.
I think they had this as a loading screen at one point too.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
How come they fire these people?
They were desperately.
They're insulting their own international property, man. That right there should have been no. Matches his outfit. Yes.
Look, this man was so straight that they almost explored the route of Trish, who was supposed to resemble his mother. How do you assume that there is any form of gayness in the original Dante?
Like I said, go to 3. talking about lady in every naughty way possible. He even makes a sexual joke in 3 about how he likes fast women.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the words of a gay man.
Nope. And his fake out kiss scene, because it was like the 2000s, early 2000s. No one wanted kissing scenes video.
Yeah.
He could have. Nope.
Yep.
Not gay.
Well,
You mean
basically,
when?
the point is that Tamim doesn't know what cool is because he just is a shut-in.
Little projection, maybe. Maybe he is. You know. It's okay, man. You're queer and you're here. I understand.
There's always that strawberry on top of that bar scene. The strawberry on top. See what I did there?
Oh.
That starts off with him going to the bar to get a strawberry or something. Not only does he has that little like charm. Like he's not always trying to be badass. He's also just being his little charm stuff with his little habits of eating a strawberry sundae.
Yeah, you know the original intent for that though was because they wanted a character that made fun of your typical badass. You know, that typical, he drinks hard liquor and smokes, you know, like that's why they made him that way. It was
It's
just
not the Sunday, it's pizza.
Exactly. But he has some Jack Daniels though. He does some drinking.
Correction, it's Dak Daniels in the Devil May Cry universe.
Sorry, DJ.
Status.
Yeah, you prissy bitch. Well, what Ren?
Do you mind
well,
if
yeah,
I
but
interject here?
Dumped. You're dumped.
Yeah. So, like with the original voice actors for the original series, I think they even at one point wanted to get into the reboot just to give something to the fans that were, not interested in this game, something redeeming about it. But they were like, no, or at least that's what Tamim said. It's funny because like you had these voice actors like Ruben Langdon and Dan Southworth and Johnny Young Bosch, and they talk about like how they get on set and whatnot, and it's more like they feel like they're more of like a family because of it, only because they just do it so much and they would keep doing it, and that's how they describe it, Whereas like the reboot, it's just like they literally had a trailer where like Tim Phillips was just like, they're demons everywhere, and they're like all over the world, and there's this place called Limbo, and like he was just very, you know, like uninterested, like he didn't want to be there. You know? Like you said, Ren, in the chat, like yeah, he just sounds so bored. Like he sounds like he's just like you know, like he just does not want to be here. Like he's there to collect the check, and that, you know, really continues with like the actual game. Like he's just like there's that scene where they get him into the Order's headquarters. I'm sorry, the Order's headquarters, and they're which that's not the actual Order. We all know what the real Order is, and he just sits there and he just like, oh, you don't remember me? And he's like, no, I don't know you. And then just that 2 seconds of awkward silence where like no one is saying anything. It's just like this is what the acting has gone into. At least with the original series, the characters tried to, you know, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. At least with the original series, the voice actors, they put in everything. You know, they did everything they possibly could to do the best possible performance, and it shows. You know, in comparison, where it's like the reboot is just like, nah, I'm just here to collect the check. Oh, and I'm gonna be in the end credits and flip off all the fans, because that's edgy, right? So yeah, you know, it's just a joke as far as like if you were to compare. You wouldn't even have to compare the original series to the reboot. You could just compare it to any good game, any game that has a good written story, a great cast with great voice acting. That's all you have to look at to see how bad of a cast and how bad the voice acting is in the reboot.
Dude, they could not mispronounce certain words for the life of them.
All.
The Yamato.
After all, Koss still makes fun of that line to this day.
We're brothers after all.
He actually said that to me as a joke when we were
After
talking.
all.
I was like, please go wash your mouth out with soap, sir.
It's not profanity.
It is to my ears.
Oh, that is hilarious. It's like they weren't paying attention to anything, and they were so bored and uninterested that they clearly did it for a paycheck.
Also, Ren, yes, they said Yamato wrong. They said Yamato instead of Yamato.
Yeah.
It's really not fucking difficult to say, even if it is a Japanese word. It's not. It's not rocket science.
You're right. It's wheelchair science.
All right, but we got like about 4 more questions here, so we're gonna go through these real quick and wrap up.
All right.
So, who wants to read number 12?
I'll read off number 12.
Oh.
You can take the next one, Dante.
Okay.
So, DmC and DmC2 both share similarities in the edgy and serious department. I would say more for the level design, but we'll get to that. The main example is in the music, serious tone in the story, and maybe some other stuff. Both didn't work out too well in their own respective rights. Not so respective in DmC's case. The first basic part to this question is, if you had to pick which worked out better than the other, DmC2 or DmC, and why, is it just a mistake for anyone to try a serious tone with Devil May Cry? Okay, so I want to kind of address a couple of things. A lot of the similarities with both games comes from just the fact that, you know, you have this, you know, big corporate evil guy. In the reboot, it's Mundus, not Mundus, because Mundus didn't, you know, stoop so low with very basic bare bone goals. And then there is fuck, I forget his name. He has a really silly voice though.
Arius?
fucking
Arius.
No!
You know, and then you have Arius, who's just a joke. But he has this ridiculous ass goal of just becoming, he wants to become the spirit of the
Argosax.
embodied. Argosax. He basically wants to become Argosax. And that's a better goal than just like, oh, I just want to control everything through depth. Like, no,
Why?
Dude.
you already, in comparison, the villain, despite being very silly in 2, has so much of a better goal. He wants to attain power, not
what's even funnier? He
There you
had
go.
complete control of the continent, I think, in
He also
Democrat
had
2.
control
He
of,
didn't
as you
need
can
that.
see. He also has control of lesser demons, as you can see.
Yeah, he
he-
can create and control demons. He controlled the entire continent of South America, basically, and he actually became a part of Argosax. He became a demon at the end of the day.
yeah.
This
so,
guy right here. Let me finish real quick because it'll be quick. Compared to Mundus, to Monday, he controlled the world to death.
There you
Now
go.
you see, Mundus, he actually wanted to control the world regardless. He will kill anything to get his goal.
Mhm.
What does this guy have to accomplish? Nothing.
Yeah. But anyways, I was gonna get back to the point. So you already have a villain that is just so much better in 2. The city aspect, while I don't necessarily mind, I think the problem is that in both games you have these very wide open streets that you can go through and whatnot, and it's
2
just,
even more so.
2 more so, to be fair, but overall, it's just the city is not a bad idea, but the problem is if you make it too open, it becomes less of a frantic fight whenever you get into fights, and it just makes it become too easy. And that's what both games have a problem with, although 2 a little bit more so because they're even more open. And I think even some of the streets in the reboot are very similar to 2, some of the areas, so it's kind of weird, but so you have that. The music, I wouldn't necessarily say so because there's a lot of dubstep in the reboot, but that's what I'll have to say about that.
well, there is some for the rock X sections. If we forget about the dubstep, because I did not
The
think about
rock. I don't agree with that actually. There are 2 different types of rock.
Right, they are, but they both they are 2 different types of rock, but they still convey the edge kind of thing.
The what?
The
Wait, so
edge.
comparing between 2 and the reboot?
Yeah, we're talking about between the little Combi Christ and then the rock they had in Devil May Cry 2.
The rock in Democrat 2 is the same as the one in all the series, really. They had
The
same,
whole series is industrial rock with a gothic little tone put on it. That's pretty much what it is.
Right.
Well, with the recent, what was it, the soundtrack, the Orange soundtrack that came out, was it last year or the year
That
before
was
that?
heavy metal.
It's heavy metal and there's heavy metal and hard rock remixes, I think it was.
Right.
But I digress. Just to get on to the point so I can finally answer this question. So you have all these similarities, right? And I think the problem is that DmC, because it tries so hard to take itself seriously that it just falls flat. Whereas DMC2, the reason why certain things are serious is explained from outside sources, but it doesn't really convey that very well. So it kind of becomes an issue, and for players that don't really keep up with other stuff outside of the games, it just they wouldn't know that. So it just falls flat. But it's not as flat as the reboot, where it's like they try again so hard to take itself seriously. So when it comes to which is better, I would say 2 is. And I would say 2 mostly because at least Dante had a cool design. Some of the a lot of the soundtrack I actually really like for 2, and some of the lines that Dante has are actually pretty well written, in my opinion. The other thing too is that DMC2 at least functions, especially on harder difficulties, whereas The reboot, it doesn't. It can actually, it gets more broken. If you're playing Definitive Edition, at least, it gets more broken the higher the difficulty is set. That's pathetic. And is it a mistake for anyone to try to make a Devil May Cry with a serious tone? Yes and no. I think that it's okay to have some serious tones in a Devil May Cry game, but I think that if you make it too serious, then you kind of lose that identity that the series has for having witty, interesting one-liners and whatnot. It just
technically speaking, all of them did have a serious tone at some point.
What I was getting to was that, if you have too much seriousness, right? That's if all you have is seriousness, then it kind of makes you lose the identity of the series, because Devil May Cry is a goofy game, right? It very silly stories and whatnot, but when it's time for it to take itself seriously, it does it very well. But when it tries to only cater to or focus on that seriousness and not have any of the things that people really like about the franchise, it just doesn't work well. Yeah. And yeah, so just to kind of reiterate my point really quickly, it's just as far as which worked out better, I think 2 just did it a lot better, especially from a gameplay standpoint, because I didn't mention this either. It kind of set it had a lot of the core mechanics that ended up becoming way more fleshed out in 3, and just kind of set a standard for the rest of the series. So it was the reason why 3 became so good. But then also, if there should be any sort of seriousness in a Devil May Cry game, only to an extent. I think that if you have, again, too much seriousness or only seriousness, that's when it becomes a problem. But if it's just kind of more like how 3 and 4 handled it, where when it's time to get serious, that's when it is. But for the most part, it's just trying to have a good time with itself. So, I don't think anybody really answered the question though, except for me. Yeah.
Yeah, he well, because he makes a pretty good point. He had the floor for most of what any of us could try to say, as a guy, given the fact that he has, given the fact that he had more experience with DMC2 more than Demon's Mayhem Conspiracy, he does have that floor. That was almost like his floor to set up. Because most of the words he just took right out of my mouth, really. And the whole seriousness, I guess, the point he was making was that there's always needs to be a balance, and DMC3 and DMC4 had that proper balance of silliness and seriousness kind of thing. The silliness being even more prominent in DMC4, because we have infamous scenes like Dante's Lucifer moment, or his fucking little drama skit with Angus as famous, crazy silly scenes. But then we have this serious scenes between Nero and Kyrie are just one thing, because that's their little cheesy love story thing. But then there's thing with Kratos, actual death scene with Dante, or something like Kratos. There's the balance. There's not always this edgy or too serious scene going on. There's a balance, and that's all that we need in a DMC series. The last 2 are just jokes anyways, so. Yeah.
I'll say this though: DMC2 is not edgy. There's nothing edgy about the game. It's serious, dark tone, but not edgy. what DMC did is definitely edgy. The probably would have much more edgy tone with the original concept though, but that's a different story. But Don pretty much said all my points though, and of course I interjected with something, so not much else to say
I'm back.
on the matter.
What question are we on?
So,
We were wrapping up on question 12.
All right.
So, are we going to move on to 13? Does anyone else have anything
Yeah.
else to say?
I'll read it.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So,
Yes, I shall. What are your thoughts on Ninja Theory / Cucks using old classic DMC lines for the trophy system? Why? I thought you said the original series was garbage. The original Dante was bad. The writing was bad. But then you're referencing the original series. Like, what? I don't understand the logic of that at all. Why reference it if you think it sucks?
that goes back to the whole like middle finger to the fans almost kind of thing, but in like a different fashion, in the most hypocritical kind of thing. You know what I mean?
All it did for me was say, oh, thanks for reminding me of a much better game I should be playing right now.
Yep.
I don't have much to say on this one other than the fact that it was very uninspired. For them to do that, they could have came up with better stuff. And I mean, half the trophies didn't even make sense for what you were
Killed
doing.
Succubus. Got fuck you.
Yeah, they could have did that too. I mean, you know, let's not kid ourselves here. If they wanted to be vulgar, they could do that. I mean, it would be something new for that game in particular.
Watch the intro. Eat my ass trophy.
Yeah, I think there was like one trophy was named like Flock Off, and it was just to kill the little like chorus enemies, which are literally a copy and paste.
No, kill
I
the
forgot
tyrant
they
in the church.
stole that.
Oh
I'll
no, it's
find
the
that.
tyrant in the church.
Is it the tyrant?
Yes, I'm looking at a trophy list
Okay.
right now. It's the tyrant in the church that tells you to flock off at a face, but it's not even a bird.
Yeah, and it's weird because actually, now that I think about it, some of the enemies are literally copy and paste from 2. The little flying enemies or whatever.
Yes, they
that
are. I will
shoot you,
find.
They're straight up copies of DMC2 enemies. I think they're even also called the Demon Choir as well. That game.
Demono Chorus. That's what they're called in 2.
I think they call it the chorus in DMC.
Wow, what the originality spewing out of these fuckers.
Yep. So it's
Anyway,
very
I'll,
unoriginal.
Here you go. Yes, I think
I'll read off number 14 since it's here. How does Jack Daniels sound like a good drink right now compared to thinking or playing this fucking damn fetus of a game? Yeah, absolutely. Please give me our real life equivalent, which is Jack Daniels with some Coke. Coke
Dang.
and Jack
Daniel.
is really tasty.
I got a good
Yeah,
joke
you would
here.
know. What?
This game is an abomination, right, Virgil? Shots fired.
Oh,
Shots fired. God damn it, Ren.
That was used by someone. I thought it was great because he shot the fucking pregnant woman. I'm like, Virgil, what the fuck? Well, Neo Virgil, Virgin, I don't know.
Abomination.
Dick sucking holy hat. Know about that.
What the?
dick suck. That's getting quoted later. And we'll put Brian's face there. Shout out to Mr. Word.
Yeah, that can happen.
Hey, Bard.
Mr.
So-
Word.
We're gonna
Blurred.
close out with number 15, and of course, Mr. Dante, since you wrote it, you can read this question off.
I wrote 14. Okay. Devil Trigger, the best rush you can towards DMC. Demons, Man, Conspiracy, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Are you saying ship post it?
Yes.
It's time.
Oh,
this is
I
the part where.
I have the best one. Okay.
Okay.
Look, you want to know the best roast? The sales for DMC4 SE saved Capcom's financial troubles.
And specifically was mentioned.
No DMC was mentioned in their sales report at all. Not even one glimpse of it. It was only Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and Devil May Cry, and probably something else. I forgot what other one was. I think it was Strider, was it? No, that was the year before. But
Maybe
yeah,
Street Fighter,
that-
I don't know.
No, Street Fighter wasn't that at the time. Was
I
it?
could
I don't
take-
know, but the point is that game saved Capcom from financial debt. DMC was not even mentioned or listed at all. So that answers your question on what the fans want for the next game.
Oh, I've got my roast. This can be put in the video.
Oh.
I have this. Hold on. Here you go. Suck my dick.
Not in a million years.
Not in a million sales.
Oh God.
They
Wait,
barely
wait.
broke that million, by the way. They barely broke it.
Yeah, a year after.
After setting themselves back from 5 million to 3 million to 2 million to 1 million. I think they settled on 1.3, which is pathetic because DMC4, I think in barely its first week, broke 1 million. First week. Reboot took a year and a half or more. So hold that loaf.
All right, Mr. Dante, go on your shit posting tirade.
Okay. All right. This is legitimate improv. I was originally going to write something, but what is time? So I was thinking to myself that I can go back to 12-year-old me. I can go sit on the toilet and have a meeting with myself, and I will be able to shit out something better on an ice cream cone and serve it to people, and it would still make more sales than fucking demons. Because my shit would be so much better than the shit they could produce. That was crap, and I know it.
Okay,
Like,
man,
okay,
stop
sweet tooth,
jump.
calm down. Let's see. What do I have for this? Well, this game is equivalent to. I would say this game is equivalent to a burnt, diseased fetus that you fight in the game in one of the chapters. You know, one of those ugly-looking demon babies that you fight as a boss. That's literally a representation of this project.
Seizures while doing that.
Yes, I will say, fuck you to meme. Your hair sucks. You have a cute bald pine cone head, which I'm sure your hookers in Tijuana will love the rub, but of course, you don't have enough money because of those sales. Shots fired. Yeah, this game is probably one of the worst games I played in 2013. Probably even, I think, did Watch Dogs come out that year? If it did, I will say that's a better game. If it did.
I thought it came out in 2014.
Well, if it did in the future,
2014.
I put more playtime into Watch Dogs than DmC. So there you go.
Facts.
And it has 6 out of 10 on Steam. Ooh.
Well, they try to make that game sound a lot like a hooker in a whorehouse, but you know that's besides the point.
More like a whore with buck teeth.
Can we end this already?
Go no, Brandon, you didn't do your roast yet, Feig.
Alright.
Finish it.
Okay. To me, you're like one of the most fuckery cunt boys I ever seen. Like, you're terrible at your job. You need to like go back to the Battles of Hell, like meet Satan, probably take that force class or something. I don't know. But
Just say Akuma can kill this game with his nutsack and you'll be set.
he doesn't need to, man. He just need to drop those pads and take a dump all over it.
What?
Please don't make art of that. I will kill you.
Alright then, so we're gonna end this crazy little podcast here. I had a lot of fun, so I'm gonna go on the outros here. So, Mr. Brendan, where can we find you on Twitter and YouTube, and plug your streams too?
Well, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube at ArcMagic514, and I will be playing this Abomination one more time just to get some Dante and hopefully some glitches. Gameplay.
Oh, that's gonna be tragic. Dom, how about you?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you guys can find me on YouTube and on Twitter as biodevil_Dom, and on Twitch as Dom241996. I just uploaded a new video on Resident Evil 6, and I already got some salty dislikes on it because shit posting RE7. Yeah, because you know, people get super salty whenever you just say something bad about that game. But that's a whole nother roast that we'll be doing in the near future.
Yes. Okay, Dante, how about you?
You'll mainly find me around my parody channel, as Darker Bridger EX, where I could come up with better lines than I come up in on the spot. And my other social media accounts for that, which would be on Twitter and Facebook, which I think go under the same name of Darker Bridger EX. Or Dark Anderson EX, what the hell? Okay. Yeah, that's where you'll find me.
James?
Shoot me.
Sorry, I was mildly distracted. You can find me on Twitter at DevHunterJames, and you can find me where I occasionally stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/ZeroJames.
Stop watching porn, faggot.
I don't
Yeah.
watch porn.
Lies.
You just alluded to it in the chat, so I can see it. But
No, that's not pornography, sir. I don't know where that
No,
came from.
it kind of is.
right.
Officer, please.
All right, so you can find me on Twitter at RenOperative_. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. I will be doing a video about why Gorilla Cambridge closed down. I'm gonna say some stuff about it, the games they did, so look forward to that. In this podcast, I gotta upload the Assassin's Creed podcast as well, and some other stuff is coming in the future. So look forward to that. I had fun. Fuck this game. Fuck you, Tamim. Fuck the shoes you have on. Fuck the fence you crawled under, and fuck your couch. Goodbye.
God damn, you stooped to his level.
Well,
He went Rick James near the end.
And fuck you.
Hey, I have to give respect where respect is due, i.e. disrespect, but you know what I mean. So see you guys.
It's level.
Yes. So see you guys next time in YouTube land. Goodbye.
Bye.